you guys, welcome back. It is your host, X-DestinyGunBlade. We are back with another viral video. We're doing some reactions. We're going to be continuing watching the relevance of Rick and Morty. Uh, so if you guys want to tune in and chill out and talk for a bit. Alrighty then, here we go in 3, 2, 1. This is where we're left off.
How fat you are! What's your shelter level?
LV50! What a loser. We only rescue
By the
players
way,
with
if you
level
guys like my
100 plus
content,
shelters.
please
You're on your
follow,
own.
please like and subscribe.
I'll be
Also
back.
check out my YouTube channel, X-DestinyGunBlade.
Now you are alone.
While we play some video games and
beneath the rust lies a chance
chill and
at
stuff.
rebirth. Danger lurks everywhere. One mistake.
The
Welcome
return
back.
of World Ender.
Oh wait, you guys. Alrighty then, here we go.
Morty convinces Rick
Yeah, I muted it. It was an accident.
with this change, a flawed character who audiences found to be genuinely cool and fun to root for
Welcome
was
back.
turned into someone who was constantly reminding viewers about his ability to do anything and everything. This decision would put the show between a rock and a
Alrighty.
hard place.
Thank you guys for
regarding
joining.
how
This is your host, X-DestinyGunBlade, as the VTuber tonight. Just got back having a shower, and so I thought, yeah, just checking the old schedule. Checking the old schedule. All right, we're back.
to write stories around Rick's character in later seasons. The next episode after Pickle Rick was Vindicators 3.
I was actually watching all the new episodes, and like they're really, really good. They're really, really good. I hope like this they continue on with it. Also, they continue with hopefully we're getting a Destiny 3. I hope so.
The return of World Ender. Morty convinces Rick to team up again with the Vindicators, a group of intergalactic superheroes
We already
to
seen
take
this one.
down their nemesis, World Ender. Rick reluctantly agrees, but shows
I'm
open
not wearing a shirt. That's why I'm using a VTuber today.
disdain for the group. The next morning, the team enters World Ender's base, only to discover that
And I'll be working Monday. Be sure to follow the stream if you guys like the stream. Please, it really helps out the stream. Otherwise, I'll be switching to
blackout drunk
YouTube.
Rick had already killed the villain the previous night, and set up a series of deadly puzzles for the heroes to solve. As the script states outright, this episode's plot is heavily
We might
inspired
not get through all this. There might be a part 3.
by the Saw movies. In spite of these inclusions, though, this was unfortunately another very poorly received episode by fans. To start, it further cements
What are you talking about? It was actually a good episode. I like that episode. I got beer. What are you talking about? I like this episode.
Rick as an all-powerful super being.
I like
Beyond
this
that, the
episode. It
writing
was
as a
it was
whole
good. It was a
continued
good
to
episode.
prove far less sharp than in times past.
I don't know
with
what
the
you're
lukewarm
talking about.
response, there was some unquestionably fun promotion surrounding it. In the lead up to its release, Adult Swim put out a preview of the creators talking up how important World Ender was as a new supervillain for the series, making his unceremonious off-screen death all the more humorous.
Boy, I'm getting spooked thinking about World Ender right now. I mean, look at all the
Goosebumps.
In
got
addition,
the
Justin Roiland
goosebumps.
went method
He's also drinking
for
whiskey.
the script, getting wasted off 4 or 5 glasses of tequila in order to
Ooh,
play a
tequila.
drunken Rick.
They make your clothes fall off, according to was it Randy Travis? No, well, is it Randy Travis? Who sings Tequila Makes Your Clothes? Oh wait, no. Was it Kenny Chesney? I can't remember.
Episode 5, The Whirly-Durly Conspiracy, the duo face a series of conspiracies and assassination attempts, ultimately strengthening their bond. Meanwhile, Summer's body is supersized after tinkering
Oh
with
yeah,
an
I
alien
remember
machine,
that episode. She
leading
tried to
a
make her boobs
subplot
bigger.
about body image
Man,
and
she wound up
self-esteem where
making
Beth and
herself
Morty
bigger.
deal with the consequences of her transformation. After the shaky beginning of the season, this installment was essential in calming down a lot of uneasy fans. This sentiment was so largely felt that you can even find memes from the time on the subreddit
Hey,
reflecting what a
Space Angel, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Space Angel, how's it going? Thank you for joining.
respite the episode had provided to the fanbase. Something about the whirly-dirly conspiracy just felt like a return to form. It is still an unmistakably Season 3 episode.
You know which episode I didn't like? It's possibly going to come up, which episode I didn't like. But oh, right, yeah. I know which episode I didn't like. It was the dog episode. The dog episode on Season 10. Season 9. I did not like them bringing back the Bichon Shih Tzu.
in regards to all the time it spends
Hello, welcome to the stream. How come you're not showing up on the stream? It doesn't see that you're showing up for some reason. What the fuck? Hold up. Or maybe I blocked you or something. I don't know.
on the dramatic elements of the show, but the characters felt more like themselves. The plot flowed better.
This is fair use. Fair use. So hi, hey, welcome. If you just came in, welcome to the stream. I am your host X-Destiny. This is my VTuber X-DestinyGunBlade. We're here to make you laugh and to well, do reaction videos as we do, so I can upload them to my YouTube channel and get some reactions out of it with the VTuber. I haven't thought about going away from the VTuber, but I also didn't think I was going to do a show today because I was tired. And I was also watching Young Sheldon.
And there were
Also, we had to do this one.
finally some of those moments of genuine comedic inventiveness that fans had come to expect. Many attributed this success to the fact that the script was written by veteran writer Ryan Ridley. While the
So this is part 2 of is Rick and Morty irrelevant?
episodes had all been penned by the
Be sure to follow the stream. That really helps. And if you're coming from Kick, please follow the stream. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oopsie daisy. Yeah, I gotta fix that.
new female hires, as a certain subset of the fan base would become increasingly vocal about. Proceeding in
This is our host. What's the channel called again? The Gamer from Mars. So give it up for your host, the Gamer from Mars. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
unremarkable episode 6, we have the Rick Lantis mix-up. In a cleverly deceptive cold open, which was the only aspect
He's just doing like a rundown of all the episodes and how Rick and Morty got started. So if you guys haven't watched my other one, that is Rick and Morty irrelevant, then go watch it. If you have, it's on my YouTube channel. Go check it out.
of this episode shown in previews, Rick and Morty head to the lost city of Atlantis. In a bit of a misdirection, however, this story's actual focus is revealed to be the Citadel of Ricks, depicting various stories and characters within its society. It explores political corruption, class struggle,
Ricks and Morty's killing Ricks. Have
and the
yourself
lives
a
of
Rick.
different Rick and Mortys in a segmented dystopian society. The episode culminates in a twist revealing evil Morty's rise to power. As many in the fandom have noted,
I wonder how
this
evil
is an
Morty got so
enormously
evil.
impressive effort from Justin Roiland, since it's basically just 20 minutes of him talking to himself. But the excellence of this installment goes beyond the voice acting. This is still the highest rated episode of Rick and Morty.
Can I make a character who drinks? Oh, I still haven't made put the fries in the bag meme. Oh, speaking of which, we have new commands. So if you put hashtag thirst or exclamation point thirsty, hold on, let me try it. I think that's how it is. Is that how? Drink pop of water. That's, you get one of those. And if you do this one, you get that. And like, there's a bunch of other commands that I got working now. So I was very lazy when it came to the commands. So if anybody wants to join the stream, please. Oh, right. I always forget like which one we're doing, right? All right. Here we go.
On IMDb at 9.8 out of 10, and for good reason. The jokes hit.
All right, I'm back. I just had to check on something. Alrighty, thank you guys for joining. We're
So the
back.
storytelling
Here we
is
go.
inventive, and it concludes with an impressive speech from a character that fans had waited several years to see return.
Maybe we'll see another VTuber show up today. If you guys like the content, please follow, please support the show. Really do appreciate it.
The episode won the show the 2018 Annie Award for Outstanding Achievements, Writing, TV Broadcast Production. And even the biggest pickle Rick defender would likely concede that this was the episode that should have been submitted for the Emmys in 2017. It was also vital in ensuring that Season 3 finally earned some goodwill from the fans. Up until this point, aside from the premiere, the best part of Season 3 was an episode that would have fit neatly as an average installment in the first couple years. This was the first time that the new season blew away viewers' expectations and actually surpassed the standards set by what had come before. In Episode 9, The ABCs of Beth, Rick and Beth revisit Fruipyland, a whimsical dimension Rick created for Beth during her adolescence. They discover that her childhood friend Tommy, presumed missing, had survived these past decades by turning feral. Beth confronts her dark tendencies and complex relationship with Rick.
Oh yeah, all the crazy inventions he made for her.
Way around it. This is an underwhelming episode. The script is overwritten and the jokes don't land. The premise, while full of potential...
Are they trying to say like Rick and Morty isn't funny? Because I'm pretty sure you need like a PhD to understand what he's talking about.
ends up being rather empty in terms of comedic sci-fi offerings. Perhaps the greatest mark against this one is a monologue by Rick in the third act that reaffirms what all the show's critics were alleging about the season. And a show where we used to get this.
Oh yeah, you gotta get swifty.
We were now
hearing that in my head.
This.
Am I evil?
Worse, you're smart.
Self-important, faux intelligent, cringeworthy pontification about how smart people have a huge burden due to their genius realization that nothing really matters at all. Interestingly, in a preview before the season aired, Harmon perfectly refuted the concept of nihilism.
Do I agree with Rick that nothing means anything? No, I do not, because the knowledge that nothing matters, while accurate, gets you nowhere. The planet is dying, the sun is exploding, the universe is cooling, nothing's gonna matter. The further back you pull, the more that truth will endure. But
yeah, that's coming from a person who doesn't leave his house or go outside, except for work.
you zoom in on Earth, when you zoom into a family, when you zoom into a human brain and a childhood and experience, you see all these things that matter.
The problem is, when you make the antithesis of that argument come from the character your show has repeatedly deemed the smartest man in the universe, critics are going to naturally...
I thought the smartest man in the universe was Sheldon.
...on that. The plot also ends with Rick offering Beth the chance to escape her suburban life and be replaced by an exact clone of herself to fulfill her family duties, concluding with the mystery of whether or not she accepted the proposition. A mystery that would be immediately followed up in the next episode and the finale of the season.
Do you guys think that Sheldon's the most smartest man in the universe?
Episode 10, The Richturian Morty Date. To wrap up this turbulent junior year, Rick and Morty clash with the President of the United States over trivial tasks, leading to a series of escalating confrontations. Their antics strain the relationship with the government, resulting in a high-stakes showdown at the White House. Meanwhile, Beth questions her identity, suspecting she might be a clone Rick created, which exacerbates her already fragile relationship with Jerry. The episode ends with the family
Jerry's a clone
together again, except for Rick, who is...
Because if she's a clone, then she would have never met Jerry. So if she's a clone, then like her Jerry isn't the same Jerry that she's with. She would have met someone else. Why on earth would the same clone meet Jerry? Ever think about that?
disappointed about
Man, I should come up with these like when I'm gaming, but when I'm gaming, I can't come up with anything to talk about.
losing his dominant position. Obviously, this was a
My ADHD brain don't work like that.
disappointing finale for fans who were hyped up from the evil Morty reintroduction from episode 7, and expecting some huge progression for the overarching narrative. The whole thing ends with more of a whimper than a bang, with the family all back together again, and verbal declarations that the status quo had been reset and that the next set of stories would be just like the old days. This begs the question, why devote the entire season to character development when you were just going to undo the whole thing in the finale? Mr. Poopy Butthole returns in the post-credit scene, pouring salt on the wound by telling fans that they would...
Yeah, he was in the like the last episode where I don't know, she was like Mr. Poopy Butthole's wife was going to see her predator husband, which sounds weird when I say that. You know what I mean? Alien versus Predator, right? It sounds awful when I say it. But oh my gosh, like her I don't know what to call it.
would have to wait a really long time for the next
Her
season.
predator boyfriend. Oh my gosh, it sounds worse when I say that.
Even all these years later, Season 3 stands out as an odd outlier in the show for how seriously it takes a story and serialization. Despite having a lot more haters than seasons past, it still represented the pinnacle of fan excitement, and as such has an average IMDb user score of 8.7, the same as Season 2. Which leads into this point that many often forget when critiquing the season.
That's
Season
Rick Rammer.
3's run, by any objective measure, was Rick and Morty at its cultural peak. Its viewership was at the highest it ever had been or would be. It received more awards than years prior, and it truly captured the zeitgeist of the moment. It was everywhere, from shirts to plushies to bongs to hats to condoms.
Condoms? What? You wanna wear Rick as a condom? Whoa. I mean, I have a Rick and Morty blanket. And t-shirt.
To more bongs. It took the show's plot incredibly seriously, which would have been a fine direction to go, but many OG fans thought it just didn't have anywhere near the same level of wit that the first two seasons did. As I've already mentioned, many of the fans placed the blame at the feet of the new female writers, going so far as to target them for penning their least favorite episodes. Harmon, in an interview with
Rick
Entertainment
and Morty co-creator slams trolls attacking their female writers.
Weekly, went to bat defending the female additions to the staff. I've made no bones about the fact that I loathe these people. It f***ing sucks. And the only thing I can say is if you're lucky enough to make a show that is really good that people like, that means some bad people are going to like it too. I want to scream.
That's the same thing with Destiny. Like, if there's people that want it, we're gonna petition for it. We want Destiny 3. I want Destiny 1 to be... I also want Destiny 1 to be fixed. That way I can go to the tower and not be kicked out because my internet can't run it properly.
At my computer, you
Anyway,
idiots,
we'll get on that later. There's a video I want to watch that I've already watched, but you guys haven't watched.
write the show together. If you can tell the difference between one writer and another on a show I'm running, I've probably gone so lazy that it hasn't all been blended and refined in the usual process. But the sexism exhibited in certain parts of the fan base was not what turned the internet against the show. Rather, it started to buckle under the weight of its own fan base as millions started to flock to the program. And of course, with such large numbers, cringe was inevitably going to follow. It all began when Rick and Morty's third season dealt the new pop culture icon its hardest backlash yet, in regards to its reputation due to one joke from the premiere.
Yeah, I'd like to get a 10-piece McNugget and a bunch of the Szechuan sauce.
This brief reference brought huge online
I don't remember
attention
that.
from the fan base towards
Although
McDonald's.
I must have been, like, really young to remember Rick and Morty. Mulan and Szechuan sauce.
Discontinued promotional product. Internet memes spread rapidly on Twitter and Reddit, and more than 40,000 people signed an online petition on change.org, asking for the return
Really? I haven't even seen the Mulan movie, and I don't remember. Like, I remember the Mulan movie came out, the live action, but I don't remember a petition to have the Szechuan sauce back to McDonald's.
Of the Asian-inspired sauce, while an eBay auction resulted in a 20-year-old package being
What?
sold for
Just
nearly
for sauce?
$15,000. Although I need to add that
1980. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember that. Roughly, I was like 6 or 7 when it came out.
that is probably not true and the
Maybe
person never actually paid.
5.
Eventually, in the wake of all this excitement, McDonald's announced that on October 7th, 2017, they would be serving limited quantities of Szechuan sauce.
Oh yeah, I didn't move to Stettler when this happened, so I didn't know. I also like ordered a lot of McDonald's, so honestly, I didn't know. If I knew that this was a thing, I would have ordered it.
At select locations. But what should have been a moment of financial success and fan celebration ended up backfiring horribly, as the fast food company severely underestimated how many people would be attracted to the promotion. As a result, fans were left waiting for hours in long lines, only to discover the restaurants had already run out of sauce by the time they got
No way, just for dipping sauce? This would have happened in Calgary. I didn't hear anything about this. Like, I was also possibly working too much to even, like, realize that this was a thing.
place their order. The entire ordeal
Oh,
prompted
wait. No, I think I just started my job, and then I just noticed it. Yeah, October 7th, 2017. Yeah, I was supposed to be working that day.
enraged reactions by disappointed fans, with some tantrums so disruptive that the police had to get involved.
No
This was not
way.
a great look for McDonald's, but it was a far worse look for Rick and Morty enjoyers. The next day, the burger chain released a statement on the catastrophe that was their rollout, saying, "To our customers and Szechuan sauce lovers, yesterday we were truly humbled by the amazing curiosity, passion, and energy this community showed to welcome back Szechuan sauce. Even if just for one day, thank you a million times over."
I
Between
can't
the
believe this is
costumes,
a
the
thing.
memes, and the cross-state travel, you, the fans, showed us
I gotta
what you
find
got.
something to do with my
And our
hands.
super limited batch, though well-intentioned, clearly wasn't near enough to meet that demand. Not cool.
Everyone's safety, guys, and your safety is not worth a thing of sauce.
We agree, so we're gonna make this right. In the last 24 hours, we've worked to open any portal necessary, and it worked. Szechuan sauce is coming back once again this winter, and instead of being one day only and limited to select restaurants, we're bringing more, a lot more, so that any fan who's willing to do whatever it takes for Szechuan sauce will only have to ask for it at a nearby McDonald's. We want to make this right. You're some of the best fans in this, or any dimension, and we plan to deliver on that promise as soon as possible. Stay tuned.
Okay, I remember that happening. Yeah, I remember that happening. Ooh. What an odd commercial.
I'm sure this isn't the first time you've seen
Rick and Morty Pickle Rick. I think I remember seeing that. When was that?
that infamous video. In fact, it's quite possibly the most damaging thing to ever happen to Rick and Morty's reputation. What's particularly funny is that the provocateur known as Chairman Mar on YouTube didn't even watch the show and was just attempting satire. But Poe's Law made him the Rick and Morty fan in the eyes of millions, and his obnoxious display was a kill shot for the show's standing. Rick and Morty's name became synonymous with its toxic fandom. And it wasn't just the Szechuan sauce. With a spike in popularity, the show had drawn an army of online devotees, fedora-wearing nerds who identified with the main character, describing themselves as real Ricks and consolidating in Facebook groups. Here are some of the questions posed. What is your opinion on the human race and how isolation and/or social interaction be of benefit to humanity? Again,
Was this during the pandemic? Did he do this during the pandemic? Because I think there was like an episode during the pandemic. I think it was like season 3, 4, 5. There's
answer
5.
as concise
Yeah.
and insightful
6,
as possible.
7, maybe.
Personal question.
6,
Has a
7.
woman ever been intimidated by your intelligence and gone out with a Jerry instead? I imagine these people who identified themselves as real-life Mortys were the type to get bad grades in school because they had a different type of intelligence. If you were on the internet in 2017, the following copy pasta is likely burned into your memory. To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand.
Do you guys remember taking those tests on Facebook, like the Facebook tests, like rating your IQ and something? I remember taking a lot of those during my Facebook days. Hey guys, we got some new commands. If you guys, anyway, I'm drinking this beer real fast right now. I might have another one because I can't drink all my girlfriend's pop. She needs it.
And Rick and Morty. The humor.
Plus, her pop got aspartame, and I can't have aspartame. It's like another. It's I said I was taken. I'm taken. It's like another substitute for caffeine.
Is extremely subtle, and without a solid grasp
And I can't have it. I mostly just drink caffeine.
on theoretical physics, most of the jokes will go over a typical viewer's head. There's also Rick's nihilistic outlook, which is deftly woven into his characterization. The fans understand this stuff. They have the intellectual capacity to truly appreciate the depths of these jokes, to realize that they're not just funny, they say something deep about life. As a consequence, people who dislike Rick and Morty truly are idiots. Of course,
I mean, nothing wrong with disliking a show. There's some shows I don't like. I wouldn't call them idiots. I would call you an idiot if you didn't petition Destiny 3. Please go check out the. In fact, you know what? Maybe I'll post the link in the video. Please go check out the Destiny. Get us a Destiny 3. For fuck's sakes, please.
Of course, they wouldn't appreciate, for example, the humor in
This ain't
Rick's
gonna work.
existential catchphrase, ewww, which itself is a cryptic reference to Turgenev's Russian epic Fathers and Sons. I'm smirking right now just imagining one of those addle-pated simpletons scratching their heads in confusion as Dan Harmon's genius unfolds itself on their television screens. What fools, how I pity them.
I mean, they did do one episode where like Pluto's not a planet. And I guess that was like a joke to like science and saying that Pluto's not a planet, that everybody believed Pluto was a planet. I'm not a scientist, and plus I failed science in school, so I'm a Christian, right? But I like the show. I like the show. It's funny.
And yes, by the way, I do have a Rick and Morty tattoo. And no, you cannot see it. It's for the ladies' eyes only. And even they have to demonstrate that they're within 5 IQ points of my own, preferably lower, beforehand. If people screaming Pickle Rick was the most damaging thing to happen to Rick and Morty's reputation, this was a close second. Seemingly overnight, it went from a niche hit program to an embarrassing cartoon only annoying people associated with. Akin to something like Steven Universe or
I haven't seen the Rick and Morty anime. We got the anime on Netflix, but I haven't seen it yet.
like the Hedgehog in the eyes of the mainstream. Its fall from the Cool Kids Club was quick and brutal.
So you like Rick and Morty, huh?
Yeah.
I got into it because of my
Oh yeah, I watched Mom. Yeah, I love that show. It's such a good show.
son, but now I love it too.
Wubba-lubba-dub-dub.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Now, every mention of the show came with an asterisk. Everyone knew that these people did not represent the entirety of the Rick and Morty fanbase, but they certainly sucked all the
I met somebody who was in a Rick and Morty cosplay at my first Odafest back in 2018. I didn't have a girlfriend that day, so I just went by myself. I didn't even dress up, but, like, ever since I started, like, getting into cosplay, I started dressing up like Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, because it's pretty much, like, the only, cosplay that I can do that is easy. That, and I have a 3D printer, and I wanna do a Destiny cosplay. I'm also thinking about doing Alucard, because I'm really getting into the Hellsing, um, series, because I seen the Hellsing parody, and I wanted to see what the show was about, plus I had a roommate, or not a roommate, a next door neighbor who was telling me to watch, get into Hellsing. He was like, "Don't get into Hellsing. Get into, like, the parody of it," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." But, yeah, that's the first time I've actually seen somebody who, was in a Rick and Morty cosplay.
Oxygen out of the room. And for me, it was simply fun to imagine that they all acted this way. Even Justin Roiland felt the need to comment on it, posting on Twitter, "Bad can be found in every sample group of humanity. I have personally seen more good than bad in the RNM fanbase. I'm going to focus on good." In the real world, the show's popularity had skyrocketed during Season 3, but in the online world, however, hundreds of video essays came out deriding the season, declaring the show's magic was gone. It was bigger than ever, and at the same time, had a weaker aura than it ever did, and thus was seen as the end of peak Rick and Morty.
Armor scandal. Oh yes, this is why we didn't get Rick and Morty for years, because of allegation.
Of the Season 3 finale left fans with an acute sense of hopelessness, and true to Poopy Butthole's word, the show would not be back for a very, very long time. Things were eerily quiet in the wake of the third season. Months passed without so much as a whisper on the future of the internet's favorite series. Then in January of 2018, a scandal struck. Dan Harmon, reflecting on the previous year's earth-shaking Me Too movement, tweeted out on New Year's Day, "This was truly the year of the asshole. Myself included. We don't have to make 2018 the year of the mensch, but I hope it can be the year of the..."
Yeah, because, what was it? Morty, the voice of Morty got accused of
Not
something.
as much of an asshole.
And plus, for, like, I guess, during the pandemic, and then later on after that, we haven't gotten a season, or actually it was, like, more than, the pandemic. We haven't gotten a season lately, and until this year.
Hashtag realistic goals. In response to this, in a post that raised a lot of eyebrows, former community writer Megan Gans quote-tweeted him with the message, "Care to be more specific?" Dan Harmon replied a day later, "I didn't want to add narcissism to injury by naming you without permission, but I've talked on my podcast about the lines I crossed. I will talk about it more in any way that you think is just. I am deeply sorry. I'm filled with regret and a lot of foggy memories about abusing my position, treating you like garbage. I would feel a lot of relief if you told me there was a way to fix it. I'll let you call the shots. Till then, at least I know I was an awful boss and a selfish baby."
Sorry, I was chewing gum.
Gans responded, "You want relief? So do I. I want to watch the first episode of television I wrote again without remembering what came after. Figure out how to give me that relief and I'll return the favor." Harmon replied, "I'm disgusted and sorry that I stained our show and your talent with my selfish, childish shit. I get that I can't erase it, don't want to, but have felt sick about it. I'll reiterate, if and when you want me to do something, a public letter, a cosign on your letter, a book, pamphlet, public whatevering, I will support it. I will nod. I will verify. I will suffer and atone." Megan fired back, "I appreciate your attempts to make amends and your acknowledgement of fault. That doesn't sound as tidy as I forgive you, but that's not my
What did he do?
Yet. I'm working towards it all the time, for my benefit more than yours." This was a tense period to say the least, and with this vague exchange, Dan Harmon's name was trending all over the news, and for a while it looked like he would be the next male celebrity to be vanquished from the industry due to misconduct. 4 days after the initial
What happened?
Twitter
What did he
exchange,
do?
Harmon spoke on his podcast to atone for his sins, and poured his soul out, confessing every detail.
Oh wait, what's the other? Go on here, stream elements. So just before that, I'm just gonna run you guys down with all the exclamation points we have. And then we got time of stream. Then you can do like equal. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to. Then we got like hashtag light level. So yeah, we got like all these new commands. So you guys can just test them out because they all work now. So we haven't hit the goal of 500 followers, but we're getting there. We're getting to 200. We have 200 followers right now. We have 201 followers right now. So if you guys want to join the stream and chill and hang out and come see what we're all about, would really appreciate it.
Tale of what he put Megan through.
And so I did the cowardly, easiest, laziest thing you could do with feelings like that, and I didn't deal with them. And in not dealing with them, I made everybody else deal with them.
I don't know what this guy's problem is. What did he do?
Right, full steam into creeping on my employee. So I just want to say,
that's what you
in addition
did.
to obviously being sorry, I did it by not thinking about it, and I got away with it by not.
We actually, I've never been there. I've never creeped on a girl before. I mean, I've stalked a girl. I stalked one of my exes before, but I honestly was stupid and desperate. Also, first time being a Christian, so I wanted to share the love, and I kind of messed up. So, yeah, I did it twice until I learned about myself and went to therapy and fixed myself. So, yeah.
Thinking about it. And if she hadn't mentioned something on Twitter, I would have continued to not have to think about it.
This confession would lead to a truly singular moment in the Me Too era. After hearing Harmon's podcast...
When was Me Too? Was it like 2016 or 2015? I can't remember. I just remember like watching something like the Drunken Peasants talk about like the hashtag Me Too movement, but when was it?
Megan Gans responded publicly, accepting his apology. The series of tweets reads as follows. Here's a weird one for you. Last week, I called out my former boss for sexual harassment, and today I'm going to ask you to listen to his podcast. This was never about vengeance. It's about vindication. That's why it didn't feel right to just accept his apology in private, although I did that too. Because if any part of this process should be done in the light, it's the forgiveness part.
Why do girls with black hair look so cute?
Dan, I forgive you. In the end, the story concluded
That's good. She
as well
forgave
as it
him.
could have for all parties involved. Gans continued her career in television, writing and producing, moving on to successful shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Never seen it.
She was praised for her courage in speaking out and for the grace with which she handled the situation. But this would not be the last time Harmon's name was tied up in scandal. After a few months, it became clear that contract negotiations with Adult Swim were making it so that Rick and Morty had not gotten picked up for future episodes just yet, and the creators were starting to get as annoyed as the audience. On March 17th, Harmon tweeted, I hear ya, tough spot. On one hand, it can be challenging, especially with crippling lazy alcoholism, to write a show that hasn't been ordered by a network. On the other hand, the thought that fans like you pay the price, I mean, I'm gonna grab a drink.
Speaking of other shows, why haven't we seen another episode of Robot Chicken?
On March 21st, Roland echoed a similar
Can we get that greenlit?
sentiment on his Twitter, posting, For everyone telling me to get back to work on Rick and Morty Season 4, turn your attention to Turner. I'm waiting around just like you. Making some cool video games in the meantime, though. After these tweets was another...
Oh yeah, the Rick and Morty game, because there was no Morty, or sorry, what was it, High on Life 2? There was no Morty in the other one.
Drought of public information. Everyone knew that the show would get renewed, but the length of time it was taking to get there was making the fan base's patience wear thin. On May 10th, 2018, Adult Swim announced a long-term deal with the creators of Rick and Morty that included an order for 70 more episodes, making a total of 100. The news was broken by Justin Roiland.
How come it doesn't? Oh, okay, yeah, 2018. I think that was the last episode I seen. 70 more episodes. It's official, Morty. We're making 70 more episodes. 70 more adventures, Morty. You and me, 70 more episodes. Oh, jeez.
He tweeted a doodle announcing the unprecedentedly huge renewal with the caption, "More Rick and Morty coming." Looking forward to all the tweets asking where it is.
Yeah, I didn't really keep up with the Twitter at that time.
Hashtag they draw in it. The
Yeah, we haven't really seen much Rick and Morty.
announcement also led to the reveal that Kanye West was a fan of Rick and Morty, as he posted in response, "This is the greatest news. This is my favorite."
Oh, and my biggest fan, Drake and Sniper is not going to be here supporting me for a while because I think he's going camping or something. So yeah, that's gonna suck. He's my only supporter. Oh well, I can support myself. I'm good.
Show. I've seen every episode at least 5 times each. Still, details on Season 4's release were notably absent, but in the writer's
So Rick and Morty came out in 2016?
room, things were anything but silent. In July of 2018,
Or
trolls on
2014.
4chan and R the Donald were feeling their oats after getting James Gunn fired from Disney by resurfacing his old tweets. On the hunt for their next Hollywood liberal to target with their past edgy content, they landed on none other than Dan Harmon, who at the time was tweeting nonstop against the Trump presidency. And unfortunately for the writer, the video they chose was a doozy. What you have to understand is that in 2009, Harmon had produced a short pilot for Channel
For fuck's sakes, I found it! I found it! Oh well, I just ordered a new one, so it was sitting behind my fucking steering wheel. You know that receiver that I was talking about, the one for the guitar? It was sitting behind my steering wheel. I'm an idiot. And I'm not blonde. It was sitting behind my fucking steering wheel. I was like... How the fuck did that happen? Like, I didn't even look behind the steering wheel. Well, I guess I'll plug it in. Chat, I found it. I actually found it. It was... What? Oh, sorry. Found it. Behind the steering wheel. I literally looked all over the desk. And I couldn't even look behind the steering. I was like literally searching, and then all of a sudden it just popped up behind the steering wheel. Yeah, it's too late. That's okay. I can order another one. I almost ordered 2. Yeah, it's dead. It was behind the fucking steering wheel. Oh my gosh, idiot.
101 titled Daryl, a dark parody on the popular TV show.
Who's calling me? That's odd.
Dexter, where the main character is a serial killer with a moral code. In Harmon's sketch, the titular Daryl was depicted as a therapist who sexually abused babies.
What's up? Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing reaction videos.
Implying that
I'm sorry, he did
serial
what?
killer with a moral code. In Harmon's sketch, the titular Daryl was depicted as a therapist who sexually abused babies, implying that that was his way of coping with trauma. And the video features a pretty unrealistic and vulgar emulation of the assault.
I've never seen Dexter.
It didn't gain much attention at the time and was quickly forgotten. When the video was brought to
Okay, that's good, because that's really gross.
everyone's screen in the year 2018, however, the response was a lot louder than Harmon likely ever envisioned for the half-baked skit. The sketch provoked widespread outrage, with the condemnation across the internet for its disturbing content. Many people were horrified by the depiction of child abuse, even though the baby in question was just a doll and it was all done in the name of satire. Across
Okay.
the internet, allegations
Dan Harmon apologizes for old.
Of pedophilia were launched against Rick and Morty's co-creator.
Wow.
Following the broad backlash, Dan Harmon issued a
This was 2009? Oh yeah, I was still in school, so I never heard of this
public
guy.
apology, acknowledging that the sketch was ill-advised. Nobody should ever have to see what you saw, and for that, I sincerely apologize. The outrage was so loud for this video that Adult Swim felt the need to release a statement on their own. At Adult Swim, we seek out and encourage creative freedom and look to push the
I possibly didn't watch a lot of Adult Swim. I just watched, like, pretty much Robot Chicken, and that's about
in many
it.
ways, particularly around comedy. The offensive content of Dan's 2009 video that recently surfaced demonstrates poor judgment and does not reflect the type of content we seek out. Dan recognized his mistake at the time and has apologized. He understands there is no place for this type of
We got
content.
4 viewers. Thank you for joining.
Shortly after the scandal, Dan Harmon deleted his Twitter account, which was probably
Well, that's good.
the best. This whole ordeal did nothing to derail the Rick and Morty train, though. In May of 2019, the show released the first promotion of the new season, revealing
It's amazing how it doesn't show, like, what... Oh, season 4. Or, like, what the date is on YouTube, because, like, they should... I'd, like, look up a video now. Oh, wait. Never mind, it just shows, like, the hour. It doesn't show, like, what the month is.
that the premiere would be the same year in November. This was an incredibly bare-bones video, and what seemed to be a troll for all the Easter egg hunting YouTube channels that squeeze content out of...
Question, do you guys want to see more of this instead of the gameplay? Maybe on Saturdays and Sunday. Well, maybe not this Saturday and Sunday. Well, okay, maybe this Saturday and Sunday I'll start doing more reaction videos. I know we're supposed to, like, do, like, gaming with the girlfriend on Mondays, but sometimes she's tired.
Every second of new Rick and Morty footage. On July 19th, the show unveiled the first look into this
Want to create an app?
season with a 1-minute clip from the episode The Old Man and the Seat, showing Morty interrogating a chubby alien. In August,
Don't
Kanye
download
West
my...
visited the Rick and Morty studio wearing a costume hoodie that featured the show's art style, and plans for an episode featuring the controversial superstar were discussed. On November 7th, the official trailer for the season premiered,
Want to make an
featuring
app?
some provocative imagery such as Morty wearing a Nazi uniform. Perhaps the biggest reveal of the trailer, however,
Rick
was
and
the
Morty.
announcement at the very end that only 5 episodes would air before an indefinite break. This was the first bit of disappointment that fans would be enduring from this season, and it would not be the last.
You will go where I want you to go!
Season 4 represented a steep course correction from Season 3. They received the response from viewers loud and clear. The serialized, overly scripted episodes were not
Oh
what
my gosh, fans can be so nitpicky about every single episode.
they wanted. Unfortunately, the creators veered too far in the opposite direction this time around. As
It's random. Like, it's random episodes that tie in with the show. Like Family Guy. Except Family Guy leads nowhere. Except for the Star Wars episode and Stewie's Adventures.
Magazine reported after an interview with Harmon back in August of 2018, the philosophy of the writer's room had changed. Rather than focus on A and B stories and certain jokes and bits of dialogue that might fit together, Harmon and his team will instead develop, nurture, and cultivate ideas, moments, conversations, jokes, stories, premises, and swaths of dialogue, with no emphasis
They also did a pandemic episode.
on any one
Or was that a different show?
aspect over another. It's a sort of deconstruction of the process, focusing on moments first and structure second, rather than the other way around, that is, the usual way. This explains a lot about the episodes that followed. On November 10th, 2019, the season of Rick and Morty premiered. While the show already had a tradition of several episode titles being Rick and Morty's name infused with famous pieces of media.
Actually, when's the next episode of Rick and Morty? Rick and Morty, season 9. Oh, that's it. Oh, we're done with the Rick and Morty now. Yeah, Field of Dreams, yeah.
It officially got incredibly out of hand here. The first example of this being Episode 1, Edge of Tom Morty, Rick Die, Rick Pete. In the premiere, Rick takes Morty on a mission to harvest crystals that show their holders all
I thought they were adventures, not missions. I didn't know they were missions.
possible ways they could die. Morty becomes obsessed with ensuring he follows a path to his longest and most ideal life possible, leading to increasingly reckless and destructive behavior. On the other side of things, Rick repeatedly dies and is reborn in alternate realities, each time finding himself in a different and often hostile environment. While this episode does some things right, it ultimately does one huge thing wrong. As you may have already guessed, that one thing is its total scrambling of the show's stakes by eschewing the concept of death for Rick. If you thought the previous season went too far in making him an unstoppable force, this one literally kicks off with establishing the fact that Rick cannot die. This did a lot of damage to the stakes of every story to follow.
Of course, he's like every Rick that Rick to Rick.
Since any danger the main character could possibly face was now null and void, setting a very bad precedent for the season to come. In the following episode, Rick discovers someone has used his private toilet and embarks on a quest for vengeance, revealing his deep-seated need for solitude and control. Meanwhile, Jerry develops an app with an alien that wreaks havoc by matching people with their ideal matches, leading to societal chaos.
This is the fake ad you see everywhere, right? But this is Ebony, a real
Never
game.
played it.
Now I know what you're thinking. Aren't they exactly the same? No, because Ebony is the real rubber gate runner game. Gotta try it, huh? Nobody ever believes me, but this really is just like the ad.
This episode displays the first sign of Season's 4 new visual direction, with many uninterrupted long shots in which extended exchanges of dialogue play out. These may have seemed artsy and cool during the storyboarding, but many fans felt the lack of editing messed with the comedic timing of certain scenes. The script also goes for an emotional ending that simply doesn't feel earned from the story it's attached to, concluding with Tony, the person who used Rick's private toilet, dying. Rick is supposedly sad about the death of his new friend/toilet rival, but the episode does a poor job of firmly establishing the sparks of an actual kinship between the two. Next up in Claw and Hoarder, Special Rickdom Morty, Morty receives a dragon who ends up bonding with Rick instead, leading to jealousy
that was a boring episode. The dragon episode was boring.
A fantasy world of magic, betrayal, and strange sexual undertones. Meanwhile, Jerry becomes entangled with a talking cat played by guest star Matthew Broderick, leading to bizarre and dark revelations. This episode is notable in
they never explain what the cat did. In that episode, they never explain what the cat did.
That it was immediately seen by many as the worst the show had to offer when it dropped. For proof of this, look no further than the post-episode discussion on the show subreddit. That was the worst Rick and Morty episode I have seen. The pacing seemed off, the jokes lacked any subtlety. It just felt like someone else wrote it. With that said, I could absolutely see the events of this episode playing into future episodes, which could elevate this episode on rewatches. But man, I just did not enjoy that. The cat's repeated refrain to Jerry very clearly represents the writer's room motto in Season 4. Don't think, just have fun. Unfortunately, just because something is fun to create, doesn't mean it's fun for others to watch.
Oh, maybe that was
In Rattlestar Ricklactia, Rick and Morty find themselves in a time-traveling serpent society after Morty is bitten by a space snake. Their actions set off a series of events leading to an apocalypse, forcing Rick to intervene in increasingly convoluted ways. Meanwhile, Jerry's attempts at independence backfire comically as he gets stuck in the air with a snake stuck to his leg. This episode, slightly carried by the hype of Justin Roiland declaring it his favorite of the first batch of the season on Twitter, was received fairly positively by the fans. It was significant for the show in that it was the first time Rick and Morty ever used time travel since the writers had sworn it off when they began writing the show 6 years prior. This installment won back some favor with the fans, particularly with the return of Time Cops from the Season 2 premiere. Still, it wasn't as good as the
Is that an actual show, Time Cops?
final episode before another indefinite
Oh, it is the movie. Never seen it. Yeah, I never seen it.
break probably ought have been. And after 2 years of waiting, being served a small handful of episodes that were just pretty good and then being told to wait some more was not best for fan morale. Ratings were down from Season 3, and the ubiquitous hype that the show was generating from that time had now dissipated entirely. During the mid-season break,
Have you guys ever seen, what was it? That one episode, that one movie where it's like, they're cops, but like they serve the dead or something? It's with R.I.P. PD. Wait, R.I.P.D. With Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds. It was a 2013 movie. It was actually pretty good. It's he dies and then he serves like the afterlife rest in peace department. It's actually pretty funny. I think it's the same guy. Yeah, Jeff Bridges from he was in Tron, and I think he was in Dodgeball. Wasn't he in Dodgeball? I think so. Wasn't he in Dodgeball? Yeah, Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn. Steve the Pirate. Oh no, never mind. That was oh, Patches O'Houlihan. No, that was Rip Torn. Never mind. Never mind. I thought they were the same person. Okay.
Opposites was released.
I thought they were the
a
same
show
person.
Co-created by Justin Roiland. It was essentially to Rick and Morty what American Dad was to Family Guy, carrying the same art style and sense of humor as its sister show, but with a slightly different tone and goal. For many fans, Solar Opposites was a breath of fresh air, a respite from a show that had to meet exceedingly high expectations and only managed to serve up disappointment. It was in this gap that Rick and Morty also earned their first Super Bowl ad with their collaboration with Pringles.
Stack Pringles flavors. Make new ones.
How much do you think Pringles paid these people?
Hardly anything.
On April 1st, 2020, the trailer for The Other Five dropped. Because of the date, many people wondered if the footage depicted here was a joke. Even with these doubts, though, fans could not help but get excited.
I didn't like that episode.
What appeared to be a return of longtime favorite characters like Snowball and Tammy, as well as a CGI shot of an army of Ricks. All of these scenes would turn out to actually be included.
Yeah, they were working during the pandemic.
In the mid-season premiere, Never Ricking Morty, which aired on May 7th. Now, a few titles tend to get brought up when the question is raised of, what is the worst episode of Rick and Morty? Most will name
the dog episode. Like, in Season 10, when they brought back Snowball. I didn't like it. It was the worst episode.
Something from Season 5, which will be getting to soon. Others say the Dragon episode.
Yeah, the Dragon episode, too, was dumb.
Some may even say Pickle Rick for how popular it became and made the show toxic. An episode you rarely hear brought up, however, is Never Ricking Morty. But the fact of the matter is, the wreckage this one installment caused in the series is unparalleled. The mid-season premiere begins seeming like it's going to be a parody of the film Snowpiercer. The only difference being that all the characters speak about the time that they met Rick Sanchez. This premise is a funny and interesting idea for an anthology episode, but things quickly take a turn for the worse when it's revealed that our protagonists are actually Rick and Morty. The story train is a literal narrative device, and that the plot is going to revolve around self-indulgent meta-deconstructions of TV writing for the next 20 minutes, at least in some people's opinion. This is the moment where it became markedly evident that the show was now willing to rely heavily on breaking the fourth wall anytime they became insecure with their writing. While some of the ideas the episode explores are almost entertaining, it truly sticks a middle finger to its audience with its ending, where our characters are forced by a villain, Story Lord, to ignore several different ways the show's canon could develop. All the footage that the fans were excited for.
Fucking dog, they had to bring it. Well, wait, they brought him back. They brought him back like the first time, then they decided to bring him back a third
The
time.
previous trailer is this part. It concludes with Rick saying,
We got all that meta canon shit out of the way, and now we can just be ourselves.
Directly signaling to fans that the show was abandoning its canon elements. Now remember, this is the episode that came after a 6-month hiatus that followed 5 middling stories, which themselves took 2 years to release. This was the reward fans got for waiting. Rick and Morty was not just mocking fans' investment and excitement, but outright rejecting it and declaring their hands washed of all that they had built up over the years. Back in 2013, in a Reddit AMA, Dan Harmon answered the question, why do you think Community and Rick and Morty have such devoted fandoms? And looking back on it, it's an answer that perfectly articulates why this episode was a terrible move on the show's behalf. Nobody that worked
I don't really care how like an episode goes. If I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I don't really look into it. You know how much I wasted buying another receiver now that I found it? $100. $188 for just the receiver alone. Not the part where you stick it into the amp, but just the guitar one. That's it. I should have checked behind the guitar. I mean the steering wheel. But come on.
Community or that works on Rick and Morty had the capacity to regard the show as unimportant.
That pisses
People
me
that
off.
feel that way quit, and I think.
How much money have I wasted? Can I go back to putting it in my crypto? Yeah, I can go back and put it in my crypto.
You can feel through the screen that if you were to approach someone working on Rick and
Hold up. I just want to put some money into my crypto. Cool, I can go back to making money. That's why they call it the blue.
Morty with a costume or a tattoo, or a question that indicated that
Man,
Rick
I
and
only have
Morty was
167 in crypto. Really, I definitely took money out in order just to buy that stupid thing. Fucking idiot! I literally looked everywhere, but I guess I didn't look behind it. It's gonna
your
bug
life,
me.
you wouldn't risk that person going ill. You got a
Fucking
Rick and
bugs
Morty
me.
tattoo?
Fucking bugs
The
me
shows
that I
I
couldn't-
like
that I
and the
didn't
shows
afford-
I like to
couldn't
think
afford
I
it.
make are shows whose wildest dream is to be studied, loved, analyzed, etc. Maybe I'm looking a little too hard into this, but I believe Never Rick and Morty was crafted in a lab to punish obsession. While it would later be revealed that the show was not abandoning its overarching story, many fans at the time responded to this episode
Don't be that asshole who spoils a new episode for people. I don't remember
by
that
taking
episode.
it at its word, and some saying things such as, I feel like they hate making the show. Obviously, not everyone felt this way, with the other side of the fandom arguing that caring about canon was the wrong way to watch. The mentality of this episode split the audience down the middle, and to this day, arguments still rage throughout the fanbase between people who care about the lore and those who just want goofy, episodic fun. What once was a program about sci-fi, nihilism, and existentialism was now a show about itself, which was a decision that really began to alienate longtime dedicated viewers. Moving on to Season 4, Episode 8, we have Rick involved in an elaborate scheme involving a fake
I don't
bath
know if I
acid.
like this one.
This leads to a falling out with Morty, who demands a more useful invention. Rick creates a save point device that allows Morty to reset
Oh
time,
yeah, I
leading
remember
to
this
a
one.
series of reckless and tragic
Yeah,
escapades.
he creates a save point and then dates the girl and he gets stranded and yeah.
This was an instant hit with fans and critics alike, many calling it the
It was
best
a good
episode
episode.
since Rick Atlantis Mix-Up. What really cemented its quality status was the fantastic dialogue-free 5-minute montage of Morty playing with the rewind device, which takes several twists and turns, concluding with one of the biggest emotional
Until he
gut
learns a
punches
valuable
in the
lesson.
show. It is a masterclass in dark comedy, even though the only reason it exists at all is because the episode's runtime came in a few minutes short and they had to elongate the montage. The Vat of Acid episode earned the show its second Emmy, and unlike Pickle Rick, pretty much every Rick and Morty fan agrees that the victory was well-deserved. This season's finale sees the return of Space Beth, leading to a confrontation between her and her loved ones over her true identity and Rick's role in their lives. The family faces a series of high-stakes battles against the Galactic Federation, culminating in a showdown that forces Beth to confront her feelings about Rick and her place in the family. Rick's manipulations and secrets come to light, leading to a moment of self-reflection and vulnerability. The finale represents a lot of the negative qualities of Season 4, the main one being the countless meta comments that dissipate the stakes of the episode, and many fans found it frustrating how many times the story paused so the writers could seemingly speak directly to the audience about how they didn't want to be doing this. On the other hand, they at least managed to get a genuinely sincere ending out of it despite the constant fourth wall breaks.
So did they actually not want to do another Rick and Morty episode? Was it just that boring, or was it just, like, not interesting? Was it boring towards? Of course boring. Interesting. Yeah, whatever.
Truth be told, this episode acts as a better finale to Season 3 than to Season 4, addressing things like Phoenix Person, Dr. Wong, and the mind-blowing device. All of which were plot lines that were set up in the previous season.
Like the anime
they were going
episode.
for a fake out with episode 6 of the season, where they made all the fans believe that they didn't care about the show's canon, and then they brought it back with this installment. The only issue with this kind of misdirection is that you leave your entire fan base to argue for weeks that they don't actually care about the plot in order to cope with the slap in the face. Still, a fairly decent conclusion to a heavily divisive batch of episodes. The average IMDb user rating for Season 4 is 8.4, the lowest yet, although not by much. Not a lot happened between Rick and Morty.
Wait, really? It came out that long ago? So when did it start? When did Rick and Morty start? Oh, 2013. Okay, I could have been watching it. I could have watched it years ago.
Season 4 and 5.
Back
For the
then, I
first
didn't have
time in the
cable.
show's history since Season 2's airing, they took a regular-sized gap between seasons, returning just a little over a year later. It seems that after a half-decade, the writing room finally hit a stride of getting work done on time. During this break, Rick and Morty showed up in other media.
I didn't think it ran that long. 2013. I thought it was like around 2015 or something. I don't know when I started watching it. I think when I got, like, I think it was on Netflix. I don't remember, like, seeing it back in
Assert its
2013.
dominance over popular culture.
I think it was like 21. Oh wow. Yeah, I was 21 when that came out.
On June 8th, 2021, 12 days before the premiere of Season 5, Rick was added to Fortnite as a playable character.
I don't even know
on
why.
July 16th, 2021, in a cameo that took place in the midst of the Season 5's airing, but was certainly recorded prior to it, Rick and Morty made a cameo appearance in Space Jam 2 to drop off the Tasmanian Devil. In terms of the creator's other ventures, Roland released his first NFT collection during this time, which sold for over $1.65 million.
I should make an NFT
via Sotheby's auction this year. Season 4.
I want to make an NFT. Quick, how do I make an NFT for my channel? Okay, thank you.
4's Blu-ray, which released in September 2020, was the first to not feature a commentary track for the episodes, signaling to fans the creator's growing detachment from the show. For reasons unknown at the time, Roland broke from tradition and did not join Harmon for any promotional interviews or panels, a noticeable departure from previous years. Fans initially brushed it off, assuming
Sorry, I was talking to ChatGPT.
Little did they know, a more somber reality lay beneath this shift. But who had time to dig deeper? After all, Season 5 of Rick and Morty was just around the corner.
I have a pubescent memory of my older self in my closet. Gotta deal with that. That could get ugly.
5, and we might not get through all of it again.
To start season 5 with a bang, Rick and Morty crash into the ocean, provoking the ire of Rick's old nemesis, Mr. Nimbus. Nimbus arrives for dinner with the Smith household to negotiate peace, creating tension and chaos. Meanwhile, Morty attempts to impress his crush Jessica, but his efforts lead to unintended consequences involving a time-accelerated dimension. The premiere was nothing short of exceptional. In a bold move, Adult Swim uploaded the episode directly to YouTube, where it quickly racked up over 13 million views, although it has since been removed.
Blah.
The episode captures the classic Rick and Morty
Starting to
vibe,
taste
delivering
gross.
a clever sci-fi plot that keeps viewers hooked from start to finish. The pacing is lightning fast, a hallmark of the series, but this time it hinted at the even more frenetic storytelling that would define season 5.
Oh, this Twisted Tea Extreme is starting to taste really gross.
In episode 3, A Rick Convenient Mort, Morty embarks on a
You
whirlwind
can't see me
romance
drinking
with
because
an
I'm not wearing
environmentalist
a
superhero
shirt
named Planet
or
Tina,
pants.
but his idealistic view of love clashes with the harsh realities of her responsibilities and the world's problems. Meanwhile, Rick and Summer go on a wild adventure to various apocalyptic planets, indulging in reckless hedonism. This episode, which tackles the pain of young heartbreak, was Dan Harmon's Emmy shot for the season, which makes it no coincidence that the Community actress Alison Brie was chosen for the role of the female superhero. Despite the pedigree of the creative talent behind the scenes and the clear effort put into the script, though, it unfortunately received a much more tepid response than Harmon probably hoped for. Critics and audiences both praised it, but one can't help but wonder if it would have been hailed much more widely had it been made a few years prior, before Rick and Morty's popularity began slipping. In the next episode, Morty's
I don't think, like, it was that bad. I mean, there were a few episodes that were boring, unless I slept through most of them. I'd be watching them on the couch, and I think I did sleep through them. Maybe they were boring.
advised use of a horse breeding mount leads to the creation of mutant sperm creatures that threaten the world. Rick and the family must deal with the grotesque consequences of Morty's actions, culminating in a bizarre and outrageous battle against the monsters. Ask any Rick and Morty fan what the all-time worst episode is, and 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you the one with the giant mutant sperm. It's not hard to see why. To start off,
I thought it was the dog one. I thought it was the dragon episode. I want a dragon.
Leaves a lot to be desired, with the whole thing even ending on Rick clicking a Staples "that was easy" button as its conclusionary punchline, and a writing choice ripped straight from the pages of Smosh videos from 2010. But the thing that really cemented this episode's negative reputation is the...
I was wondering where that one... Actually, I wasn't really wondering. I didn't really care. I don't even remember that episode. I remember the easy button. I think that was Staples. Yeah.
plot's conclusion. To make a long story short, Morty's mutant sperm end up fertilizing one of Summer's eggs, leading to the birth of a giant incest baby who gets shot into space. Here are the top comments on the Reddit discussion post to gauge the general fan reaction to the episode in question. I'm just gonna say it. Morty and Summer canonically having a child is just f***ing weird and kinda gross. Not funny. This was the most repulsive and unenjoyable shit ever. Like, if in 2 years Dan Harmon reveals they were doing a prank and trying to write the worst episode of Rick and Morty without telling anyone, I would not be surprised at all. Jesus Christ, it just kept getting worse. Even in the behind-the-scenes look, the creators seemed utterly embarrassed by what they had put out.
Random left turns like underground horse people sometimes is the only evidence that you're having fun.
I think it turned out disgusting and tasteless.
This was when people took note of the writer's obsession with incest, even going back to previous...
that was a thing for them? What the f... They're gross. They're gross. That's a thing for them?
Rick Call often finds itself near the top of all-time lists. It is not a particularly important episode canonically, but rather a picture-perfect execution of a wacky sci-fi premise, squeezing every drop of potential out of it. The Smith Rick Call often finds itself near the top of all-time lists. It is not a particularly important episode canonically, but rather a picture Rick Call often finds itself near the top of all-time lists. It is not a particularly important episode canonically, but rather a picture-perfect execution of a wacky sci-fi premise, squeezing
I need to
every
get myself
drop
a new
of
light. This
potential
one keeps
out of
turning
it.
off.
The Smith family is besieged by alien parasites that implant them with fake memories, crowding the house with an ever-growing number of absurd characters as they struggle to distinguish real people from imposters. Similar to what Harmon had already done in Community, this is a clip show spoof where none of the clips are from actual prior episodes. The concept led to one of
That's what makes it random and fun.
Community's most beloved episodes, and it had the identical effect on Rick and Morty. This is also the introduction of Mr. Poopy Butthole, who would become one of the most cherished reoccurring characters on the show. The episode, tied with Season 4's The Vat of Acid episode, is the highest rated non-canon episode of the show by fans on IMDb. Critics were equally enthused, with reviewers from publications like Atlantic, Den of Geek, and IndieWire declaring Total Recall one of the strongest television offerings of 2015. There was some outrage online when it wasn't nominated for an Emmy, but it was somewhat expected given the show was still under the mainstream radar at the time. Interdimensional Cable 2 Tempting Fate is a direct follow-up to last season's Rick's D Minutes. This episode follows the Smith
If you guys notice, I don't talk through a lot of things. It's because I want to hear what he has to say.
family as they watch more bizarre interdimensional TV shows while Jerry is taken to an alien hospital. This is the first entry of Rick and Morty to be viewed as poor by the vast majority of the fanbase, with many criticizing it for not living up to the standards set by the original outside of a standout performance by guest star Werner Herzog. The improvised interdimensional cable scenes lack the same punch as last season, leaving an unpleasant taste in the mouths
That's
of
gross.
viewers.
Yeah, that
I've had enough
episode
of
was
living in
gross.
poverty with you. Don't ruin my new life now.
What ad is this?
Dad.
Kind of looks cool. I wish our universe
The
looked
next
like
stop
that.
on our journey is the season 2 finale, The Wedding Squanchers, which is the first
Oh,
canon-heavy
26.
episode of the show
32.
since last season's Close Rick Counters of the
32,000.
Rick kind. The Smith family is invited to the wedding of Bird Person and Tammy, only for it to be revealed as a trap by the Galactic Federation. The family is forced to go on the run, ending up on a distant planet. Rick, realizing his presence endangers his loved ones, turns himself in, leading to his imprisonment and the Federation taking control of Earth. This is a great episode in a lot of ways, but what's perhaps most noteworthy is the conclusion. After 20 episodes of having a silly, nonsensical story, the show managed to end its second season on a generally emotionally effective note. Looking back, this finale was nothing short of a miracle that would never again be repeated. Going back a little bit.
Yeah, that made no sense as to why he turned himself in, because we never got to see what exactly happened, except for the Citadel of Ricks that he destroyed. He destroyed the Citadel of Ricks, and then later on, we never talked about it again until
Shortly after
years
the
later.
successful Season 2 premiere, Harmon and Roland's show was renewed for a third. But there was a lot still to happen in the lead-up to this new batch of episodes. The first major development was Rick and Morty's expansion into video games. The show's first mobile experience
Never played
was
it.
released on January 13th, 2016. Titled Pocket Morty's, it was a parody of the Pokemon series. Over time, Pocket Morty's expanded with new content, including multiplayer modes, special
I wanna
events,
play
and
that now.
additional Mortys, which was often advertised in promos that aired directly after new episodes. Pocket Mortys became a significant part of the Rick and Morty franchise, having accrued over 10 million players as the show's popularity exploded. In August of 2016, Roland, seemingly inspired by working on Pocket Mortys, co-founded a VR video game development studio with Tanya Watson called Squatch Tendo. They would later rebrand to Squanch Games after the potential of legal troubles arose from the less than amused Nintendo. The studio would proceed to put out humorous, quirky, and often bizarre video games which reflected Roiland's distinct
Wait a minute, 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 wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute, 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 wait a minute. Oh my gosh, yeah, we went way too, oh my gosh, I went way too far. What did I do that for?
Answer as concise and insightful as possible. Personal question.
Oh shit, now I lost my place.
Far worse look for Rick and Morty enjoyers. The next day, the burger chain released a statement on the catastrophe that was their rollout. On the other side of things, Rick repeated on the other side of things that would define season 5. In episode 3, A Rick Convenient Mort, Morty embarks on a whirlwind romance with an environmentalist superhero named Planetina, but his idealistic
Oh yeah, okay,
videos from 2010.
That's my fault, that's my fault. I pushed way too far. I went way too far back.
But the thing that really cemented this episode's negative reputation is the plot's conclusion. To make a long story short, Morty's mutant sperm end up fertilizing one of Summer's eggs, leading to the birth of a giant
this is the
incest
one we're
baby
on.
who
Okay,
gets
yeah,
shot
the
in
giant
space.
incest baby.
Here are the top
I am
comments
so
on the
sorry.
Reddit discussion post to gauge the general fan reaction
Got a
to
lot
the
of edits to
episode
do.
in question. I'm just gonna say it. Morty and Summer canonically having a child is just f***ing weird and kinda gross. Not funny. This was the most repulsive and unenjoyable.
There we go. Now we're back on track.
Like if in 2 years Dan Harmon reveals they were doing a
I was like, we watched that last week.
prank and trying to write the worst episode of Rick and Morty without telling anyone, I would not be surprised at all. Jesus Christ, it just kept getting worse. Even in the behind-the-scenes look, the creator seemed utterly embarrassed by what they had put out.
Random left turns like underground horse people sometimes is the only evidence that you're having fun.
I think it turned out disgusting and tasteless.
It was
This
disgusting.
Previous eras and noting more and more examples of it that had previously been overlooked. These fans also took notice of other questionable dialogue choices from past episodes, such as multiple instances of Summer talking about wetting herself. If the reputation of being cringe wasn't bad enough, the Rick and Morty crew now had to contend with being viewed as sexual deviants by a portion of their audience. The episode marked a new low for Rick and Morty, and single-handedly ended the honeymoon that the season was enjoying. The goodwill that they had.
I still watched all the episodes. I didn't really care, but the only thing that bugged me was the Morty character, the Morty voice actor being accused of SA or whatever. SA, yeah, because then he wouldn't do the voice of the gun in High on Life 2.
Acquired with fans had been wiped out, which can be observed by the fact that they Morty. Sexual cringe wasn't bad enough, the Rick and Morty crew now had to contend with episodes. Such fans also noting of the right.
I think it turned out disgusting and tasteless.
This was when people took note of the writer's obsession with incest, even going back to previous eras and noting more and more examples of it that had previously been overlooked. These fans also took notice of other questionable dialogue choices from past episodes, such as multiple instances of Summer talking about wetting herself. If the reputation of being cringe wasn't bad enough, the Rick and Morty crew now had to contend with being viewed as sexual deviants by a portion of their audience. The episode marked a new low for Rick and Morty, and single-handedly ended the honeymoon that the season was enjoying. The goodwill that they had acquired with fans had been wiped out, which can be observed by the fact that the following 2 episodes, both of which were fairly mild installments, were also given historically low ratings on IMDb. The fans were no longer accepting watchable. At this point, the mainstream really didn't care about Rick and Morty at all, while many hardcore fans started to hate watching it,
with not having a Rick and Morty show, I'm not sure what I did. Like, I pretty much, I didn't have uh, a thing to make my content more presentable at the time 'cause I had no money. So I don't know. I just watched back to back episodes of Family Guy. Family Guy is the only one that's running. Anything else? Yeah, Rick and Morty.
Or not.
Oh yeah, and then I did play the High and
The
Life.
incest baby would later return to the season's 7th episode, in a huge indication of the writers' inability to predict what their fan base would be responsive towards.
Wait, really?
Rick and Morty had clearly hit a massive stumbling block, and it would take something big to win back the audience. Next up, let's talk about episode 8, where Rick enters Bird Person's mind to save him, navigating through his memories and their shared past. The journey reveals previously unseen depths of Rick's history and his hidden vulnerabilities. This was a monumental episode for the show in terms of lore, since it confirmed a longtime fan theory that the Rick we follow didn't have a Beth of his own. In any other season, this reveal combined with the clever format of the story overall.
But I thought like his Beth exploded. Didn't they all die in this? Like, don't they all die in the same universe in like different parts of the universe, or in different different realities?
Would have been received overwhelmingly positive and instantly regarded as a classic.
Isn't every Rick they have their own universe and they have their own Beth?
But the aftertaste of what had come before was still lingering in the mouths of viewers, causing the reception to still fall a tad short. That being said, this is a genuinely solid episode at a time when the show desperately needed it. After episode 8...
Also, you think like if there's like different realities, then like Rick would have been with someone else besides Beth.
So there was a 2-week break. During this...
But yeah, then maybe Beth's mother didn't even like, marry him or something. I don't know.
This time, Adult Swim released a live-action promotion for Rick and Morty featuring Christopher Lloyd as Rick. This left many fans confused as to whether or not it was just a one-time thing or if some big movie was going to be announced. As it turned out, it was just a one-time
There was a movie. It's called Back to the Future.
thing. Finally, the 2-part season finale premiered on September 5th, 2021, with episode 9 and 10. In this finale, our protagonists have a confrontation with Evil Morty, who reveals his master plan to break free from the central finite curve, a construct that confines all realities in which Rick is the smartest man alive. As Rick and Morty face the implications of Evil Morty's actions, they confront the deeper truths about their universe and relationship. This episode does most things right. It features the long-awaited return of Evil Morty and gives a genuinely impactful send-off to his character, concluding the episode on a strong cliffhanger regarding the future of the show. It also has the highest stakes of any episode since the ill-advised decision in the Season 4 premiere to eschew death. In fact, the specific plot point is actually addressed here and erased as a possible contingency plan. Of course, this episode still has the self-defense fourth wall breaking that fans had gotten sick of from Season 5. This was especially disappointing since it goes so in-depth with Rick's backstory, and many fans felt that the desire to undercut all of that with meta jokes came off as very insecure on the part of the writers. The average IMDb user rating for this season is 7.7, a noticeable drop-off from previous years that reflected how fans were feeling about the series as a whole. In the end, this is really when the viewers turned on the show's quality. But even though the precedent-smashing ratings of Season 3 had dwindled by this point, Rick and Morty was still generating hundreds of millions of dollars in merchandise.
I like this editing, this old-timey edit staticky they got going on here.
Meaning the train would still continue chugging along. Not much of note occurred during the break between seasons this time around. A prequel Vindicators web series, created by the writers of their debut episode, was released on YouTube to middling reviews. Following that, with minimal fanfare, came Season 6 on September 4th, 2022.
Why are you here?
During the
Buddy,
pandemic.
I have been asking myself that exact same question.
There are really only 2 episodes of this new batch worth talking about, the premiere and the finale. Episode 1, Solar Ricks this time around, is an incredibly canon-heavy return to the series and a pretty competent one at that. Picking up right where the show left off, the Smith family finds themselves stranded in their original realities, each dealing with their own challenges. Rick tries to reunite the family and fix the multiverse, leading to a series of adventures and confrontations with old enemies. The episode introduces Rick Prime as the new main antagonist of the show, and confirms the longtime fan theory that the Morty we have been following this whole time was Rick Prime's grandson all along. For all intents and purposes, this was a fairly successful episode in terms of expanding the lore and hitting the proper emotional beats. Even flipping the nonsense Rick and Morty 100 years
Is it considered nudity if it's on YouTube? Because they showed Rick's butt twice.
refrain from past premieres into a sentimental moment between the two title characters. This episode also marks the show's grand maneuver towards larger family escapades rather than just following the titular characters on classic-type adventures, which it largely stuck to for the rest of the season. In the finale named National Mortpoon's Rickmas Mortcation, the Smith family's Christmas takes
Oh yeah, this one's where they go up against Santa
a chaotic
Claus.
turn when Morty receives a lightsaber from Rick. After accidentally dropping the weapon vertically, it threatens to destroy Earth, leading to a wild adventure involving the real Rick, a robotic decoy, and a battle with the President. All things considered, it's a relatively tame episode that ends with Rick revealing his
Oh no, this is when Morty gets a lightsaber.
obsession quest to hunt down Rick Prime, setting up a major storyline for the next season. None of the episodes were standouts, but none of them approached the poor quality of the infamous 4-episode run during Season 5 either, marking it as a rather unremarkable period of the series. The real standout during this era would turn out to be the shenanigans behind the scenes.
At the start of the game, you can build your shelter anywhere you want, but choose carefully. Once it's built, there's no moving it. You'll spend days clearing the area, gathering supplies, and finding
Why is he in a
new sources
dress?
of power. As you
Turn out to be the shenanigans behind the scenes.
The fall of Roland. Yeah, this is why he wasn't in the next High on Life.
3 days after the Season 6 finale, Squanch Games released High on Life, a first-person shooter set in a bizarre alien universe,
That's a fun
where
game.
players use talking sentient guns, each with their own annoying personality, to battle enemies. The game featured Roland's signature voice acting and humor, and received an incredibly negative response upon its initial reveal due to gamers believing that the talking weaponry would become very grating very fast. And it turns out they were correct.
Yeah, sorry about the spit. I needed to get you infected with the translator microbes. That's sort of how it works. I guess you guys don't have those here yet. Listen, my name's Kenny. I'm a Gatlian. We gotta move.
You close it?
I did.
You done?
Yeah.
What was wrong with it?
Just a little too heavy-handed.
Luckily, they did add a feature that allowed you to minimize the amount of talk.
I think he met what's his face? iDubbbz. I think he was iDubbbz's friend.
Talking in the game, which led to a more positive reaction from critics and fans alike. On November 30th, 2022, Justin Roiland guest starred on a beloved YouTube channel named Red Letter Media, voicing his iconic characters.
Mike, why are we here again? Because, Jay, this half-in-the-bag timeline is totally fucked.
What no one could have possibly guessed at the time was that this would be his last performance as Rick and Morty ever. On January 12th, 2023,
Oh right, yeah, domestic violence charges. I thought it was SA. No, it was domestic violence.
NBC News broke the story that Justin Roiland had been.
That's why we never got a Rick and Morty, and that's why we never got his voice in High on Life 2. I really hope there's a High on Life 3, even though High on Life 3 was
charged with
or
felony
High on Life 2 was
domestic battery and false imprisonment in connection with an incident that occurred 3 years prior with an anonymous woman he was dating. He was arrested and released on a $50,000 bond in August 2020 and arraigned in October. A protective order was also filed that prevented Roiland from going within 100 feet of the alleged victim. The Rick and Morty co-creator pleaded not guilty, and since then had quietly undergone several pretrial hearings in the case, including one 4 days after the news emerged. His attorney, T. Edward Wellborn, lambasted the media coverage for the trial, saying, "To be clear, not only is Justin innocent, but we also have every expectation that this matter is on course to be dismissed." Justin himself said nothing. And he wasn't the only one. 2 days after the story came to light, there was not a single word uttered from any of the companies Roland had contracts with. Then 3 days, then 4 days, then a week. Silence from Adult Swim, Hulu, 20th Television, and Squanch Games. Justin Roiland, who had started out as a down-to-earth geek making outrage-bait cartoons, was now the golden goose of the industry, an undisputed titan of the animation world. Dozens of brands, thousands of jobs, hundreds of millions of dollars had all rested on his shoulders for years. But the beatings would keep coming, and eventually more allegations would surface. Former Mad Magazine editor Ali Gortz was one of the first to go public with her story. On January 13th, one day after the news of the domestic violence case broke, she tweeted, "I'll say more later. For now, I'll just share the types of funny DMs Justin Roiland would send me. Posted and deleted this tweet last night because I was worried about any backlash. But this dude made me, someone who wrote a Rick and Morty concept album, never watch his show again." Included in the tweet was a screenshot of some of the messages she received from Roiland after she told her hero about the concept album she was writing for the show. Can you write a
That sounds like more essay than domestic
song
violence.
about 9 dicks of different sized and ethnic origins hanging above your face, and then in the lyrics describe how they each splatter you with 1 minute later. Sorry. Ali, I'm on my 4th glass of wine. This was all off record. Don't break my trust, you asshole. JK, you're alright. After this, another woman came forward. This girl, who verified that she was underage at the time of the exchange, Justin texted her, "You should just run away from home and go into sex slavery, you fucking stupid fucking bitch."
Oh yeah, he's drunk alright. Goodness, dude.
On top of this, old clips from the Grandma's Virginity podcast began to resurface, where Roiland's affinity for talking about his attraction to underage girls was showcased to the world.
Look, I'll say, look, a fucking 14-year-old that looks like she's 18 and like big
yeah.
like, of course I'm attracted to that.
Ooh, yeah.
Stop. Okay. Yeah, then Rick and Morty deserves to be taken off air.
That's why this whole Chris Hansen thing, I'm like, F you, man. These girls are like, they're fully developed, and they're like, they talking online. I want you to
The girls that old men or women pretend to be to lure the files into the house?
Yeah, but they would email
Oh my
photos of
gosh.
what they look like,
Uh-huh.
and the ones I saw were like, that girl's fully developed woman. Yeah, like
On its own, this can be excused.
Okay, maybe take Rick and Morty off air. I mean, the last season was just, except for like the one episode, everything else was good, except for like that one dog episode. Just get rid of Snowball.
Used
Come on.
as boundary-pushing comedy from a time where sensibilities were different. When you present this next to several sexually explicit DMs with a minor and then criminal charges, it becomes a lot
Wow.
harder to defend.
He's
With
drunk.
this, people started to dogpile with other claims. Fans began turning on Justin, arguing he hadn't
even
contributed
got
to
the
the
same
TV
glasses
show
as
he had
him.
helped
No, he
create
doesn't.
in
His is more
years.
square.
While they would turn out to be correct, it's important to note that they were working entirely off of speculation at this point. But still, the question remains, what would become of Rick and Morty? Roiland's voice was so inextricably tied to the series, both literally and in terms of its creative direction. Would his actions spell disaster for the former pop culture titan? Well, 12 days after the story broke, fans received their answer when Adult Swim announced that they had cut ties with Mr. Roiland, and that his roles as the titular characters of the show would be recast. In March of 2023, the charges of the original case were dismissed due to insufficient evidence. Justin returned to Twitter the same day with a tweet that simply read, "Justice." Attached was his statement on the outcome of the court case. "I have always known that these claims were false, and I never had any doubts that this day would come. I'm thankful that this case has been dismissed, but at the same time, I'm still deeply shaken by the horrible lies that were reported about me during this process. Most of all, I'm disappointed that so many people were so quick to judge without knowing the facts, based solely on the word of an embittered ex trying to bypass due process and have me cancelled. That it may have succeeded, even partially, is shameful. However, now that the legal case has ended, I'm determined to move forward and focus both on my creative projects and restoring my good name." On September 13th, 2023, NBC News published the conclusion of their months-long
Wait, was that his tweet talking about it?
during this process. "Most of all, I'm disappointed that so many people were so quick to judge without knowing the facts, based solely on the word of an embittered ex trying to bypass due process and have me cancelled. That it may have succeeded, even partially, is shameful. However, now that the legal case has ended, I'm determined to move forward and focus both on my creative projects and restoring my
I'm
good
pretty
name."
sure you can find a different different Morty voice. Like, come on, dude. You knew what you were doing.
On September 13th, 2023, NBC News published the conclusion.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Conclusion of their months-long deep dive investigation in an article that outlined the allegations from nearly a dozen women, who had all come forward against Roland since the domestic abuse case was announced. The article goes in depth on 3 of these victim stories. The first case NBC brought to light was that of a 20-year-old woman from Boston whose name they kept anonymous. In March 2019, Roland messaged her on Tinder. "Hey, what's up, bitch? Just kidding." I do have to just stop here and point out that just because you say JK after something doesn't excuse what you said previously. "Hello, can we go shopping and have fun and I'll give you a fashion show and we can get coffee and talk? I think I'm down, yeah. It'd be cool with just hanging and maybe a drink. Just talk and meet you." At that point, the woman mentioned again that she was not legally able to purchase alcohol since she was still 20 years old. "You don't drink ever?"
Ah, that sucks for America. We get 18 and Alberta gets 18 and you get 9, and then BC gets 19 and America needs to wait until they're 21. But they can't be trusted.
Haha, I'm actually not sure if I'm gonna drink either. According to NBC,
That just sucks for you, but you know, it still doesn't help that you got a bunch of drunk teenagers doing stupid shit. But it still sucks though that like if let's say I wanted to go to America for whatever reason when I was like 20, I couldn't drink until I'm 21. Like in BC when I had my first alcohol, which is not true. I've had alcohol in the past when I was young, but when it was like my 19th birthday, my parents couldn't allow me to buy legal alcohol until I hit 19. Oh wait, I just said I was 19. When I was 18, I couldn't buy alcohol until I hit 19 in BC. And now, but in 21, you have to wait in America? Holy, imagine if they just upped it and said you have to wait until you're like 29 or something. You could fire a gun, you could drive, you could join the army, but drinking, no, you have to be 21.
That evening, Roland took her out and purchased drinks for her. This was captured in a Snapchat video she recorded, although no archives were provided in the article. She claimed to have gone slightly drunk during this time. Later, Roland suggested that they go back to his hotel room, where she was pressured to perform oral sex on him, despite her initial objections.
Wow,
To
what a
quote the
creep.
alleged victim, "From the moment it happened, I knew that it was not okay. But I felt a lot of different feelings, like that it was my fault. I felt guilty for asking him to buy me stuff. I felt maybe I owed it to him, and I was embarrassed." Despite what happened that night, the woman kept in touch with Roland, eventually confronting him.
Something's underneath.
several months later in June of 2019.
Still staying up late gaming solo? With Hacko AI, get the ultimate companion for your play.
I have that.
The sexual stuff that happened with us was not handled by you in the best way, and I just want you to take that into account in future dates. I know it was not black and white, but verbal consent is important. Yeah, I didn't. I'm really sorry. That's not cool at all. Jesus, that is not me whatsoever. I literally didn't get consent? I mean, you said after that you thought it turned me on to be forced. I told you that I would have preferred it didn't happen. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm really sorry. Roland's attorney Brettler refuted the woman's depiction of events, writing to NBC that she asked Roland.
I should put a warning label on this one. Yeah, you know what? I'll just... Yeah, you know what? I'll put 18+.
To buy her clothes and offered to sell him her pornographic videos a few months after that night, leaving his client feeling duped and taken advantage of. Another case NBC looked at was that of gender non...
Why is it always the gingers? Why is it always the gingers screwing up?
...binary Jana
Unless he has
Waters,
brown hair.
who started speaking to Roland in 2016 when he was 35 and they were just 16. The two exchanged the occasional Twitter message over the years, eventually swapping phone numbers and texting. In Waters' own words, "At first I really thought this guy wanted to be my friend, and I really needed friends at the time. He was a grown man. I was a teenage girl."
Waters.
When Waters was 17, they were invited by Roland to visit him in Los Angeles, with him offering to cover the round-trip expenses. Waters expressed interest, but reminded Roland that they were still on...
Why is it always the fucking gingers? Why? Like, every single ginger that I've known, they're just weird. Like, including, like, when I was in a band. Like, the guy kicked me out. The guy kicked me out for not agreeing with some political side. And he was ginger. Like, why is it always the gingers? Like, literally.
Under 18. Haha, holy shit.
And also, why this fucking haircut? Why these fucking glasses? Like, dude, go with glasses that go to your face, man. Like, round. Never go square.
I assumed you were. However, in 2019, when Waters was 20, Roland invited them to a party for Squanch Games in Raleigh, North Carolina. Since they only lived a few hours away, Waters decided to drive out and attend. It was here that Roland allegedly pressured the young person into drinking and engaging in inappropriate scenarios involving another woman, resulting in Jenna leaving the party early. The last time Waters communicated with Roland was in May 2020. Reflecting on their interactions to NBC,
Quit hanging out with teenagers, man.
Waters said that they no longer see Roland as a friend or mentor, but believed that they were grooming them, seeking to develop a relationship that could eventually become sexual. Still, the worst case NBC brought to light was that of an unnamed woman from Pennsylvania who encountered Roland when she was 19 years old in 2016. Their interaction began when the Rick and Morty
Always fucking ginger. Oh my god. Like, does he have gel in his hair? Like, look at that. Look. Keep it kept, dude. You're like 30. You're 30 something or 40. I don't know. But dude, dress your age.
Who was 36 at this point.
Oh, he's 36. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Just nah. Just act your age, man. Date people your own age.
Noticed her fan art on social media.
Weirdo.
He initiated contacts, complimenting her work and expressing
I need another one.
interest in keeping in touch. Thrilled by the attention, the young woman shared her excitement online, marveling at the validation from the show's co-creator in a Facebook post. "I am not okay right now. The co-creator of Rick and Morty said my art is good." The two remained in contact, with their conversations eventually transitioning to text messages. As she would later describe to NBC, "Justin targeting me made me feel like I was special and chosen. Even just being followed by him on Twitter made me feel special because I'd see my name next to accomplished artists and people. In March 2017, Roland invited her to visit him in Los Angeles, even offering to cover her travel expenses. Before she was allowed to go, though, her father spoke to the voice actor over FaceTime call, during which he sought reassurance about his daughter's safety and asked Justin what his intentions were.
He should have said no.
Roland assured him that nothing bad would happen, a promise
He should have said no. This is on the father, but he should have said no. But it's also on the actor, the voice actor. The father should have known, should have like clicked in and said, yeah, absolutely not.
In their subsequent texts. I didn't know your whole family was so concerned about this trip. They just didn't believe me, LMAO. But like, are they concerned that it wasn't actually me, or are they concerned no matter what? By the way, I totally understand it. I mean, they just love me a lot and don't want anything bad to happen to me. I will make absolute 100% sure nothing bad happens to you. Early text exchanges reveal that the 37-year-old had discussed sexual topics with her before the trip, and she had reciprocated, even sending him flirtatious pictures. Roland asked her if she was possibly bi-curious, and she responded that she didn't think she was. Still, he told her that one of his female friends would be with them and that she might be interested in her. When she arrived in Los Angeles on March 31st, Roland picked her up at the airport and brought her to a party he was hosting. As the night progressed and after most guests had left, she found
that editing, that's a great edit. I like that. The drinks behind that. I want to do something like that. I want to but me editing that way, that would take up all my time. Like just editing a video game playthrough alone takes up most of my time. But doing it like that I want to do those types of edits where it shows, like let's say I wanted to make an edit for Destiny 3, right? Where now I thought about this in the shower. I thought about this and how it would come out, right? And you got the words in the background, how like you got a bunch of Guardians standing around and everybody's excited, and maybe we're on the Dreadnought and we're getting ready to fight some I want to say Covenant, but Thrall and some Blight, and we're just getting all ready up, and there's a word like saying Destiny 3 coming now, or I don't know, something you've all been waiting for, and it's just like giant letters like all horizontally coming across. But yeah, that's a great
with
edit.
her idol and another woman. While the anonymous victim could only remember pieces of what ensued, she remembered being given liquor, and she remembered changing in the living room into a bathing suit and
They gotta up the they either gotta lower the age of having alcohol, or they gotta up it. Like, come on, we got, like, Canada's got 18, BC's got 19, you guys got 21, so you guys need to wait 2 more years. You guys need to wait 2 years in order to drink. You should just put it at 18, and then none of this shit would happen. But yeah, he'd still be an asshole.
getting into the hot tub with Roland and his acquaintance.
Oh my gosh,
In the
of course
hot
it's
tub,
the hot
Roland
tub.
asked the two women to perform sexual acts on each other, which they did. The acclaimed cartoon writer then proceeded to have intercourse with a 20-year-old as the other woman watched, all of which the anonymous interviewee claimed to have been uncomfortable with.
Or you gotta make them wait until they're like 30.
Following the incident, the woman returned
Actually, no, I make them wait until they're
to
25.
the guest bedroom feeling deeply unsettled and confused. She called a friend in her drunken state, sobbing, saying over and over that she is not a lesbian. Roland texted her a fleet of messages later that night, using the iPhone sticker function to
Oh, I knew this reaction was going to be PG-18 or rated 18. Should have warned myself.
attach a pornographic image to multiple texts. Hi, you okay? Talk to me. IDK, I'm weird. I'm not comfortable with, the girl stuff? Or just all of it? Also, you're not weird. You are awesome. I'm selfish and jealous and insecure, so anything involving more than two
Where do you get these text messages from?
people trips me the F out, and I feel terrible about it. I'm awful. Ah, okay, I understand that. But I felt like you weren't okay. Unhappy emoticon. What does that mean? Can I come talk to you? You're not awful. You don't have to do that again. I want you to
Justin,
sleep
stop
with me
talking
tonight.
to her.
Sorry for spamming the guy with the in his mouth. Unhappy emoticon, unhappy emoticon. I just want you to be happy and have a fun time here. I'll do whatever you need for that to be the case. I like cats and dogs. I really hope you just fell asleep.
He's drunk.
When you wake up, call me. I wish you were here. I'm sorry. The next day, the two once again engaged in sexual acts, with the Rick and Morty star even going so far as to film it despite her discomfort. Roland's attorney later claimed that any sexual activity between his client and the woman was consensual, and that Roland was not responsible for any acts that occurred between the woman and his female friend. After returning home, the TV creator and his alleged victim continued talking for a bit before things fizzled out. It took her time to come to terms with the experience and recognize that she had been taken advantage of. The trauma lingered as reflected in private social media posts she made years later, expressing the deep psychological impact the encounter had on her. In 2019, she posted a caption about Roland that said, in part, "He's lucky I'm not the type of person who wants to be famous or well-known or anything like that, because he would have been exposed by now probably." So how did the show's...
Does this fall under fair use? Like, can I play all this? Does it fall under fair use? Shit, I didn't mean to do that.
On the other side, dog pile with other claims. Fans began turning on Justin, arguing he has people and then different charges. It becomes a lot to sever to on Justin, arguing he hadn't. It's important to note that they were working entirely on
Does this fall under fair use?
speculation at this point. But still, the question remains. What would become
I'm just going to keep the irritated
Roland's voice
emoji.
was so inextricably they were he had games. Becomes a lot to several pushing
Developed woman. Yeah, like
Okay, yeah.
pile.
Sorry, I skipped too far ahead.
Become of Rick and Morty. Roland's voice was so inextricably tied to the series, both literally and in terms of its creative direction. Would his actions spell disaster for the former pop culture titan? Well, 12 days after the story broke, fans received their answer when Adult Swim announced that they had cut ties with Mr. Roland, and that his roles as the titular
Okay, yeah, I went a little too far.
Would his actions tied to the series become of...
Can we go back to the text messages?
But still, the question... album, never watch his show again. Included in the tweet.
There we go.
Yeah. The girl stuff? Or
I'm
just
just going to keep the irritated
you're
thing
not weird.
going.
You are awesome. I'm selfish and jealous and insecure. Feel terrible about it. I'm awful. Ah, okay, I understand that. But
Maybe I
felt
shouldn't
like
watch
you
Rick and
weren't
Morty.
okay. Unhappy emoticon. What does that mean? Can I come talk to you? You're not awful. You don't have to do that again. I want you to sleep with me tonight. Sorry for spamming the guy with the in his mouth. Unhappy emoticon, unhappy emoticon. I just want you to be happy and have a fun time here. I'll do whatever you need for that to be the case. I like cats and dogs. I really hope you just
these real
fell
tweets?
asleep. When you wake up, call me. I wish you were here. I'm sorry.
Oh my
The next
gosh, dude, get the hands.
day, the two once again engaged in sexual acts, with the Rick and Morty star even going so far as to film it despite her discomfort. Roland's attorney later claimed that any sexual activity between his client and the woman was consensual, and that Roland was not responsible for any acts that occurred between the woman and his female friend. After returning home, the TV creator and his alleged victim continued talking for a bit before things fizzled out. It took her time to come to terms with the experience and recognize that she had been taken advantage of. The trauma lingered as reflected in private social media posts she made years later, expressing the deep psychological impact the encounter had on her. In 2019, she posted a caption about Roland that said, in part, "He's lucky I'm not the type of person who wants to be famous or well-known or anything like that, because he would have been exposed by now probably." So, how did the show's creators respond to the initial allegations that arose from various Twitter accounts?
Kicked him out, right?
Multiple sources reported to publications that Roland
No, they didn't, because they brought back his voice.
aside from voice
Unless they got somebody else to voice him.
work, had not had any meaningful
To voice Morty.
creative presence on any of the series that bear his name in quite some time. In fact, many of his former colleagues said that they hadn't heard from him in years, and when they had, it was unpleasant. This would culminate in another massive journalistic deep dive on Roland, this time by The Hollywood Reporter. It was titled Inside the Implosion of Justin Roiland's Animation Empire, which provided new dark insight into Roiland's diminishing role over the creative journey of the show just when fans thought it couldn't get any worse. According to the piece, the start of Justin's withdrawal from the Rick and Morty writers' room began all the way back in 2014. After the first season was an instant hit with fans and critics alike. Dan Harmon, known for his demanding standards, was particularly focused on a hit with fans and critics alike. In 2014, after the first season was an instant hit with fans and critics alike.
Yeah.
Dan Harmon, known
First
for his
season.
demanding standards, was particularly focused on making the second season even better, which meant longer hours, more scrutiny, and
Why does he look like
more
Destiny?
rejection of silly ideas, which were Roiland's bread and butter. Harmon soon brought in a few writers from Community, which didn't show Justin the same respect that the Channel 101 guys did during the early days. The production became more divided, with Dan's guys being more structured, while Justin's guys were more chaotic. The two groups didn't mix. According to one of the Hollywood Reporter sources, Dan is all on the page and mathematical about story breaking, and these guys that Justin hired were like, "Look, I drew a turd with eyes. Let's do a story about that." The yin and yang of Dan Harmon's order and Justin Roiland's chaos is what created some of the most beloved television episodes of the 2010s. But it turns out
I will admit the show is really good,
that success was a ticking time bomb
but him on the other hand, stay away from preteens and just turning 20.
all along. It was during the writing of Season 2 that Roland began pulling away, increasingly losing the enthusiasm for being in the room that had given him great joy just a year before. At one point, he sat so far from the other writers that he had to use a pair of binoculars just to read the ideas that had been pitched. According to people on the inside, he made it no secret that he would much rather be at home than work. Things only worsened from there. Once writing on the third season began, the first female writers had just barely settled in. Roland was undeterred from drawing vulgar and phallic doodles on the office whiteboards. Another source mentioned that he was easily distracted. The writers would frequently visit Toys R Us to buy action figures and Nerf guns, and Justin would then spend the rest of the day playing with them, making it hard to get any work done. At some point during the third season, Roland stopped showing up regularly. When he did come into the office, he often still avoided his responsibilities, with people only knowing he was there because they heard his dog or saw his remote control car. Justin did,
Did he
however,
actually use a remote control car like Sheldon? Like Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory, because he didn't want to go to work, so he decided to create himself a robot and just went on with his day like that. With the TV.
make exceptions to bring famous fans to the show
Because he was afraid of car crashes.
to visit, including Kanye West.
Or was it Germs? I forget what episode it was.
The comedians from Impractical Jokers, and porn star Riley Reid, who gifted the room a, quote, succulent plant. The show's largely absent co-creator also reportedly spoke openly about the details of his sex life, specifically about he and his girlfriend's penchant for threesomes, making all of his subordinates uncomfortable. Multiple sources reported that during this period, Roland sent a really creepy late-night text to a female employee, asking her to come to his home. His exact intentions weren't specified, but it
Fire him immediately, fire him, find someone who can actually do the Morty voice. Fire him immediately.
Probably isn't difficult to fill in the gaps. But this was somehow only the beginning. You see, up to this point, Justin still had to maintain at some level a professionalism in the workplace. After all, the jobs of the entire cast and crew relied on his show still being on the air, and that meant making sure it maintained a certain level of quality. But following the 70-episode renewal deal with Adult Swim, it meant that the train would keep moving regardless of what he did. This is when Justin really started to phone things in. Once the contract was signed, Roland stopped showing up to work altogether, only contributing to the show at all by voice acting the characters in his home studio. He also did the same thing for his other projects like Solar Opposites. A source noted that the absentee creator knew the importance of being the voice talent, believing that securing these roles would protect him from being fired. It really did seem like fame destroyed the man. Even with his complete detachment from work, though, Roland was still asked to make occasional public relations appearances or engage with fans, as he had gained a cult
money is the root of
following in
all
certain
evil.
animation circles. He often did so while drunk, a fact he barely attempted to conceal.
Good. Yeah, what's in that cup? Just water. Sure.
That was if he ever showed up at all. He often canceled appearances at the last minute or just stayed home without warning anyone ahead of time. While this proved to be a major point of frustration for his fellow creatives, time and time again, network executives
Yes, you can just see the sweat. Oh my god, he's sweating, but like, look at him. He is sweating. You know what you did.
chose to turn a blind eye to his behavior due to how successful Rick and Morty was for them. But once the court case and allegations were revealed, public pressure became too great and they finally had no other option but to let Roland go. Despite his importance to the show, at the end of the day, Rick and Morty was bigger than Justin. And when push came to shove, he was booted from his magnum opus after—
Like, anybody can do the voice. Oh jeez, Morty. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. My voice actor. Oh, nah, I can't do the voice. I tried.
after getting Me Too'd. This meant that Adult Swim had to search for new actors to take over his roles, particularly those of the titular characters themselves. So the search began. The details of this audition
maybe they did change the voice actor.
Process remained very hush-hush over the next 6 months. The potential performers being tested in the booth used old episode scripts, and then played back their voices against the actual scenes from the show to see if they could notice any difference. The producers knew they were up against a devoted fan base that would put any new performance under a microscope. They paired up different actors to see if they had any particular chemistry that worked. The Hollywood Reporter conducted an interview with Dan Harmon around this time to discuss the search, the first time he was publicly asked about his cancelled co-creator and friend since the fallout. It had clearly been emotionally draining behind the scenes for him. It was very difficult, even in my short time at the end of this assembly line, where your ears very quickly get so confused when you're trying to tell the difference between a 9.5 and a 9.7 on the "does this sound like my friend" scale. So you quickly lose your objectivity. Eventually, they found their new stars, although the network did not reveal who they were when they released the trailer for the new season.
Hey, look, Morty! I'm a leg! A leg, Morty!
When the series finally returned to television on October 15, 2023, Ian Cardone and Harry Belden were revealed to be the new voice actors for Rick and Morty respectively.
Oh, no way. They did what? I thought it was just one. They fired both the original voice actors? They fired the original voice actors, man. Oh shit.
Humanity is dying. To save it, you will sacrifice everything.
Rick call often finds itself near the—
Sorry.
She claimed to have gone slightly drunk during this time. Later messages. As she would later describe to NBC, Justin offering to cover her travel expenses, in which he sought reassurance about his daughter's safety and asked Justin what his intentions were. Roland assured him that nothing bad would happen, a promise echoed in their subsequent texts. I didn't know your whole emotionally draining behind the scenes for him. It was very difficult, even in my short time at the end of this assembly line, where your ears very quickly get so confused when you're trying to tell the difference between a 9.5 and a 9.7 on the does this sound like my friend scale. So you quickly lose your objectivity. Eventually, they found their new stars.
Sorry, I was
although the network did
changing
not reveal
the
who they were
emotions.
when they
I
released
gotta
the
find a
trailer for
different
the new
button.
season.
Hey, look, Morty! I'm a leg! A leg, Morty!
When the series finally returned to television on October 15, 2023, Ian
I'm possibly
Cardone
just gonna
and
get
Harry
off at
Belton
10.
were revealed to be the new voice actors for Rick and Morty respectively, a departure from the
How?
original model of having one man
What? Wait, so it is not the original voice actors anymore? They changed them?
play both parts. And that was not the only change to the credits. For the first time in the show's history, the intro segment went without created by credits. And on shaky footing, Season 7 began.
I admit it, that was self-destructive.
Oh, no wonder their episodes are shit. Well, I mean like the older episodes.
As people tuned into
Actually, well, maybe the couple
hear
of
the new
episodes were
voices
good.
in the premiere, they would find the story of how Mr. Poopy Butthole's life fell apart, prompting Rick to help him
Yeah, because his wife is dating a. Don't make me say it.
regain his confidence and reputation by embarking on a chaotic adventure. If the first episode of Season 7 was a harbinger of things to come, it was a rough one. It was generally viewed as a bad story with bad jokes. But fans had become acclimated to the occasional poor script at this point. What mattered was the performances of Ian and Harry. To the credit of the voice actors, they did a decent job. This was particularly impressive because they weren't just faced with the challenging endeavor of replicating another person's voice, but they had the additional hurdle of matching their performance to fit the exact lip movements of already animated scenes. It would obviously take some time for devoted viewers to get used to the differences in the performances compared to Roland, but this proved to be a solid first attempt. In episode 4, That's a Morty, Morty
Oh yeah, the spaghetti one.
discovers Rick's famous spaghetti is sourced from a suicidal planet, causing a societal upheaval. Rick's attempts to correct his mistake fails, leading to a morbid broadcast that ultimately stops the demand for the grotesque pasta. This episode was the first to have a warning beforehand. There was apparently a lot of debate behind the scenes as to whether or not the content depicted in the story was too dark, even by the already edgy standards of Rick and Morty. To quote one of the showrunners, the network had to be like, "We're not sure we can let you make this episode." And then the head of the network read the script and was like, "I'll allow it because the execution is so brilliant, I think you handle it really well, but I don't think most other places would let this one fly." Not only did Adult Swim ultimately allow That's a Morty to make it to air, but they even made it a prominent part of the marketing campaign for the new season, proving they were still willing to take risks with their rapidly fading star. Despite the concerns and the hype behind it though, this episode failed to make a significant splash. It begs the question
You
though,
don't want to know
would it
where
have
it came
generated a
from.
wider discussion if it had come out just a few years earlier?
Alright, we'll
before
soon
the general public
end
lost
this
interest in Rick and Morty.
series today.
Next up in
Thank you guys
episode
for
5,
joining.
our heroes team up with
This
evil
is your
Morty
host
to
X
stop
Destiny
Rick Prime,
Gunblade,
who has
and I
created
will
a
be
device
out
to erase
after
people
this.
from all universes. During the struggle, they confront their past traumas, leading
We're
to a
gonna
deeper
finish it.
understanding of their shared history and ongoing conflicts. This was a huge load for the new voice actors to tackle, and they fared admirably. The plot concludes with the device that can eradicate every possible version of a person across infinite realities, ending up in the hands of evil Morty. It's a cool idea in the moment that undeniably establishes higher stakes that the show had never had before, but it also, in a way, fully dismantles the entire mantra of Rick and Morty. The whole point of a truly infinite universe is that nothing matters. That theme of nihilism is wiped out by the introduction of this weapon. This episode ends with a reprise of the final scene of Rick Potion number 9. Instead of a traumatized Morty though, we have an adrift and
So we are getting more episodes of Rick and Morty. So season 9, and then we're getting season 10.
Rick. A pretty sweet and effective parallel by the show's writers. In episode 8, a character named Water T arrives on Earth seeking help from Mr.
I have to
Goldenfold,
go pee.
Morty's math teacher. Morty himself eventually gets involved, and the group are entangled in a conflict between sentient numbers and letters. People did not like this one. This is essentially a 22-minute parody of cheesy Saturday morning cartoons from the 90s, and is noteworthy for a few reasons. First of all, this is the first episode to not feature
Why the heck do like franchises need to rip off Star Wars?
Rick at all.
Like they did it in Destiny, and now they're doing it. They did it in Rick and Morty, now they're doing it in Destiny.
And secondly, it stands as the lowest rated installment in the show's history on IMDb at 4.
Like, I get it. Star Wars is the greatest film of all time, but you don't need to steal from it.
0.5 out of 10. Fans were not messing with this one.
Steal from Star Trek. I've never seen Star Trek. I tried to watch it. It was boring. It was very ASMR. Yeah.
Worst Rick and Morty episode ever. What did I just watch? I think watching paint dry would have been more exciting. At the end of the day, people were just becoming bored. We're finally at the last episode of Season 7, where Rick and Morty enter the fear hole and confront their deepest fears. This ended the season on a strong note by delivering one of the best installments in years. A genuinely funny story filled with clever misleads and trope subversions that explores the characters in a more interesting way than had been done in a very long time. To give you an idea of how well received this episode was by fans, it has a higher audience rating than Rick Mirai Jack, the Season 5 finale where Rick's backstory was finally revealed, and Evil Morty returned after 4 years. Fans loved this episode that much. All in all, Season 7 of Rick and Morty had some highlights and some low points, but it accomplished its only real goal, getting the audience used to the idea of a new voice. In September of 2023,
I couldn't even tell the difference. I didn't even know. I thought his allegations were dropped. I thought Roland's allegations were dropped. I didn't know they switched voice actors.
During the airing of this newest batch of episodes, Dan Harmon finally released
I couldn't tell the
statement
difference
on the allegations against his longtime creative partner in an interview. The easiest thing for me to say about Justin has been nothing. Easy because he isolated so well, and easy because I'm nobody's first choice as a judge of anything or anyone. This is where I'd love to change the subject to myself, to what a piece of crap I've been my whole public life. I would feel so safe and comfortable making this about me, but that trick is worthless here and dangerous to others. It's other people's safety and comfort that got damaged while I obsessed over a cartoon's quality. Trust has now been violated between countless people and a show designed to please them. I'm frustrated, ashamed, and heartbroken that a lot of hard work, joy, and passion can be leveraged to exploit and harm strangers. Harmon revealed that the last time he and Roland spoke was over text in 2019, 4 years before he was cancelled publicly, in a conversation that left Harmon in tears. He said things that he had never said before about being unhappy. And I remember saying to him the last time we spoke in person, like, I am worried about you, and I don't know what to do about that except to give you all the strings and also just say I'm scared that you're not going to come back.
Is this about Roland?
A golden laser? That's insane!
My turn. Let's see what I got.
Broken solar panels? What a joke!
Damn, you'd never guess this is the most powerful item.
During the airing of Rick and Morty's 7th season, 2 more animated Harmon shows that had been in production for years finally aired. Krapopolis on Fox and Strange Planet on Apple TV.
Never seen any of them.
Never heard of either, which just goes to show how significantly the media landscape has changed. But just because Harmon's new ventures weren't taking off, it doesn't mean that there wasn't a new animated series to come in to take over the fame Rick and Morty once had. You see, as Rick and Morty's stardom fizzled out, a new show emerged from Adult Swim that would take hold of the zeitgeist, Smiling Friends. Created by longtime YouTube animators Michael Kuzak and Zach Hadel. Their big break came when Adult Swim, always on the lookout for strange and unique content, greenlit a pilot from them in 2019, which aired as part of Adult Swim's April Fool's Day event. Adult Swim quickly ordered a full season in 2020. Despite the challenges of the production, which forced everyone to work remotely, the creators dove into production with full creative control. They were involved in every detail, from writing and voice acting to directing and animating. This hands-on approach kept the show true to their original vision, light, funny, and bizarre. The full season was aired all at once in 2022, and was received warmly by fans of the 2 co-creators. The show achieved even more popularity with its 2nd season, although it has remained in the sweet spot of it being
Oh my gosh, it looks like that It looks like the one episode from Family Guy where Brian took mushrooms.
A series with a mostly online fan base, not accruing the same mass acclaim as Rick and Morty, and thus avoiding the ubiquity that turned many off from the sci-fi show. That's not to say that the show has totally avoided all of the same pitfalls of Harmon and Roland's creation. Since the second season has aired, Smiling Friends fanbase has started to grow a slightly similar reputation as Rick and Morty's for overrating the show's quality
Why?
and being generally annoying. I guess that's just an inevitability of achieving.
It looks like adults. Yeah, it does look like a Family Guy episode of Brian taking mushrooms. So this is probably what they were doing when they made this episode. They were taking
certain
mushrooms
level
because
of
this just looks
recognition in any
unsettling.
artistic media.
Gosh.
Although animation fans have historically tended to be particularly overzealous. Regardless, with this new success, many people have deemed Smiling Friends Adult Swim's new golden child. As the dust settled, most people agreed that Adult Swim had made the right decision by firing Justin Roiland. His actions simply brought too much baggage for the show to carry. But the truth is, Rick and Morty was long gone before Roiland was given the boot. What started as a blissful, creative, fulfilling, off-the-wall exercise for longtime friends with a unique vision to push the boundaries of animated storytelling has now become a writer's room composed of millennial fans of the show that lies in the shadow of a tragic breakup between the original creators. And the performers they're writing for is not the same person who cultivated these voices back in 2006, but rather two young actors in their late 20s who have earned the job by being the best out of thousands of impersonators. There's something deeply sad about how the story of the show had played out, but maybe this...
No, it kind of makes sense because it's almost like their lives. Like, pretty much, like, you know, you go and do something stupid and you talk about your life too much, and then later on you realize that the life that you built is going to cause your downfall because you cared more about money rather than the fans or what made you. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm too big to fail. Yeah, you failed, all right.
Ending was inevitable. And Dan
And
Harmon's
then
own
your show got
words,
taken
I kind
over.
of feel like my job these days is to log into a Zoom and tell younger, smarter, funnier, more conscientious people a bunch of bibble-babble about my personal life in reference to the story we're trying to break. And their job is to patiently wait for me to leave the room so they can get back to work. Because what else am I going to do? They're the ones who have to worry about their future
And why are they always ginger?
careers. So they listen.
Ginger with the short hair, they look like Destiny. Where I have black hair, black long hair, and I'm X-Destiny.
And then they write.
I don't know. Let me know what else you guys want me to react to, because there's a bunch of other things I want to react to. Maybe viral YouTubers.
Things that are wonderful and funny in their own way, and it's a good time to retire. It would be an act of pure immaturity and hubris to expect Rick and Morty to...
And if you guys want me to use the avatar, do you guys want me to use the avatar, or do you want me to use my face? Well, I'm drinking alcohol right now, so...
evoke the same feelings we had during the early seasons indefinitely. Of course, old writers leave and new writers come in. Of course, the fan base will become cancerous. Of course, the show will have episodes or even entire seasons that disappoint us. Of course, the creator will be outed as a monster. Welcome to television. Whatever else you can say about Rick and Morty, it's a show that craves your approval. Even when it falls short, you can still see its failures' earnest attempts to evolve and improve. In its recent seasons, it's still
a good show. I mean, like, the last episode aired, and that was, like, a weird one, but... yeah. I honestly think the worst episode is the freaking dog.
stands head and shoulders above many of its peers in terms of entertainment, creativity, and sheer inventiveness. And even now, it still rakes in millions of dollars. This includes a recent anime spin-off. Something tells...
Oh, I haven't seen the anime. Porn stars refuse to quit no matter what. Tragic Life of a Porn Star, Adrena. Alright. Well, it's going on 10 o'clock, so what else do you guys want to do? Should we find something else, or should we just chat? We don't have enough. Wait, I gotta find, like, a short one. I cannot wait. Yeah, you know what? We don't have enough time. There's not enough time to make another video right now, but we could do the Chris Hansen one, but that's gonna take forever to do. CNN convinced women 42 men are offenders.